Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve. Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet.
Gunsmoke. The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
And we'll start off this week with Westerns and comedy. We're going to have an episode of Fort Laramie starring Raymond Burr, Gunsmoke starring William Conrad, Staats Cotsworth stars as Casey crime photographer, an episode of Gangbusters, Bob Bailey and Virginia Gregg and Let George Do It, and an episode of Lum and Abner. That's all straight ahead on this Monday. This is the 29th day of January, 337 days remaining until we get to the end of the year. President Andrew Jackson ordered the first use of federal soldiers to suppress a labor dispute in 1834. In 1845, Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven, published in the New York Evening Mirror. Kansas admitted as the 34th state of the Union in 1861. Carl Benz patented the first successful gasoline-driven automobile in 1886. In 1916, Paris first bombed by German Zeppelins in World War I. In 1944, the USS Missouri, the last battleship commissioned by the Navy, was launched. 1978, Sweden outlawed aerosol sprays due to their harmful effects on the ozone layer, becoming the first nation to enact such a ban. In 1980, 6 U.S. diplomats rescued from Tehran who took refuge in the Canadian embassy on November 4th of the previous year.
The United States can confirm that 6 American embassy employees who were not captured at the time of the embassy takeover have come out of Tehran. They had been in the Canadian embassy.
Getting out on this date in 1980. 1984, Ronald Reagan announced he would seek re-election.
We have made a new beginning. Vice President Bush and I would like to have your continued support and cooperation in completing what we began 3 years ago. I am therefore announcing that I am a candidate and will seek re-election to the office I presently hold.
Reagan would win in an electoral college landslide. Let's see. In 1991, President George Herbert Walker Bush praising the troops' performance in the Gulf War.
There is no one more devoted, more committed to the hard work of freedom than every soldier and sailor, every Marine, Airman, and Coast Guardsman, every man and woman now serving in the Persian Gulf.
President George Herbert Walker Bush on this date in 1991. In 1998, in Birmingham, Alabama, a bomb exploded at an abortion clinic, killing one, seriously wounding another. Serial bomber Eric Robert Rudolph suspected as the culprit. In his State of the Union address on this date in 2002, President George W. Bush described regimes that sponsor terror as an axis of evil, in which he includes Iraq, Iran, and North Korea. In 2006, ABC correspondent Bob Woodruff and Canadian cameraman Doug Vaught seriously injured in an explosion from an improvised explosive device near Taji, Iraq, about 12 miles north of Baghdad.
This is a 4-man team, a very experienced team. 2 of them were seriously injured in the attack, which occurred up in the Taji area. I gather that Bob has been medevaced out for treatment of his injuries, as well as Doug Vogt, and our thoughts and prayers go with them. Obviously, this continues to be a very dangerous place to work. Big gunshots behind me right now, even if you're very experienced.
Let's be honest, when you put yourself on the front line reporting news like that, there is no way that it is ever going to be safe. Woodruff would return to ABC about a year later. Bob Woodruff injured in an explosion in Iraq on this date in 2006. 2009, Governor of Illinois Rod Blagojevich removed from office following his conviction of several corruption charges, including the alleged solicitation of personal benefit in exchange for an appointment to the U.S. Senate as a replacement for then President-elect Barack Obama. Among those passing away on this date in history, journalist H.L. Mencken, poet Robert Frost, actor Alan Ladd, comedian Freddie Prinze, Jimmy Durante, actor Leif Erikson, dancer Lily St. Cyr, singer-author, daughter of a president, Margaret Truman, singer-songwriter, poet Rod McEwen, James Ingram, wonderful singer, and Dr. Johnny Fever on WKRP, and he was also in Head of the Class, Howard Hessman, passing away on this date in history. Birthdays today include William Claude Dukenfeld, W.C. Fields.
Whom have I the honor of addressing, milady?
They call me Flower Bell.
Flower Bell, what a euphonious appellation. Easy on the ears and a banquet for the eyes.
Kind of cute yourself.
Thank you. I never argue with a lady.
Smart boy.
Thank you again.
Fields with the outrageous Mae West, W.C. Fields, born on this date in history, as was patriot Thomas Paine, writer Anton Chekhov, entrepreneur John D. Rockefeller, scientist-inventor Alan B. Dumont, one of the men behind television, Victor Mature, John Forsythe, a fine actor, Anthony George, another fine actor, writer Patty Chayefsky, from the Fifth Dimension, Ron Townsend, and model Gia Karangi, all born on this date in history.
Hi, this is Jeff Foxworthy. It is now time for the birthday announcements. The following people are now officially older than dirt.
From the picture The Graduate, Catherine Ross, 84 today. French singer, dancer, and convicted murderer, Claudine Longet. She was convicted for misdemeanor negligent homicide in connection with the death of her boyfriend, former Olympic skier Spider Savage. Longet is 82 years old. Actor Tom Selleck, 79 today. From Beastmaster and V, Mark Singer is 76. From It's a Living, cancer survivor Ann Jillian is 74. Oprah Winfrey, 70, the singer and sister of Barbara Mandrell, Earlene Mandrell, is 68, as is singer Amy Stewart, famous for Knock on Wood. And it was a cover. I didn't really know that up front. Also, let's see, who else do we have here? We have Matthew Ashford, Jack Devereaux, in the soap opera Days of Our Lives. Matthew Ashford today turned 64. From NYPD Blue, Nicholas Turturro is 62. Pro wrestler Hardcore Bob Holly, 61. From Saving Private Ryan and Mob City, Edward Burns is 56. From Drugstore Cowboy and Boogie Nights, Heather Graham is 54. From Roseanne and The Talk, Sarah Gilbert is 49. From This Is Us, Justin Hartley is 47. And from Maroon 5, Adam Lambert is 42. Those are just a few of the people who celebrate the 29th day of January as their birthday. If this is your birthday,
happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
And we thank you, Mrs. Miller. We will head out west to Wyoming, an episode of Fort Laramie, starring Raymond Burr, from 68 years ago, January 29, 1956, Boatwrights Story. That's up next here on this Monday Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Americans have always been noted for their know-how, and you young men in search of a career, you can put this practical talent to excellent use in one of our nation's many engineering schools. At the present time, we need engineers. We need them to maintain our scientific and engineering superiority. So look to your future, to America's future. Plan now to become an engineer.
And on this Monday Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, if Perry Mason hadn't come along, I imagine that Fort Laramie could have had a longer run. But it didn't. And it did. Perry Mason basically killed Fort Laramie. Raymond Burr said he loved doing the show, but there was just no time to do it. So here we go. Raymond Burr, Fort Laramie, 68 years ago, January 29, 1956. 68 years ago, Boatwrights Story.
At the gallop! Oh!
Fort Laramie. Fort Laramie, starring Raymond Burr as Captain Lee Quince. Specially transcribed tales of the dark and tragic ground of the wild frontier. The saga of fighting men who rode the rim of empire. And the dramatic story of Lee Quince, Captain of Cavalry.
Dismount and unsaddle, pin grazing water. Dismount and unsaddle, pin grazing water. You there, Boatwright, you unbit that mount before you graze him this time.
Sure, Sergeant. I'm just going to.
Well, do it then. Dismount and unsaddle, pin grazing water.
We could make camp here, Boatwright. There's water.
Yeah, we could go hunting and fishing too, Vickers. Maybe bake some bread.
If you don't like the Army, why didn't you stay in Louisville?
I was starving there too. But at least in Louisville, I didn't have no Indians after my scalp.
You afraid of Indians, Boatwright?
Afraid? Come here. I'm gonna tell you something.
What?
I'm gonna get me an Indian.
What you talking about, Boatwright?
I'm gonna get me Indian, I said. I gotta get me one.
Why?
And I won't be scared no more.
All right, you go get the Indian. I'd rather stay scared.
Hey, give me a chaw of your tobacco.
Here. But bite easy on it. It's all there is to payday.
Payday. Army's got 2/3 of my pay for the next 3 years.
Well, at 50 cents a day, that don't amount to such a whole lot, Boatwright.
You sure think funny, Vickers.
At least you ain't in the stockade. You ought to be grateful for that.
I should, huh? The reason I ain't in the stockade is because Captain Quince needs me out here. B Company's supposed to have 83 privates, full strength. I swear we're down to 60.
We are.
That's what I'm saying. So Captain Quince needs me worse than I need him.
Where'd he go anyway?
You make a fine scout. You don't even see where your own company commander rode off to.
It ain't none of my business where he goes.
You know what you are? You're a dumb trooper. Somebody says, sit down, you sit down. Somebody says, stand up, you stand up. Somebody says, here's your home, you start taking off your shoes.
You're getting riled again, Boatwright.
Captain Quince rode up to that knoll over there looking for Lieutenant Sybert's patrol.
I don't see him.
He come back 5 minutes ago. He's walking down the line behind you right now.
Oh.
He's tired, don't he?
Commanding a company that's got stockade soldiers like you'd make anybody tired, Boatwright.
Now, you watch your mouth.
Oh, can't you take a ribbon?
Hello, Captain.
How do you like the open air, Boatwright?
Fine, Captain. I need a good ride.
No complaints, then?
No, sir. None at all. I like it fine out here.
You better like it.
Yes, sir. Sure beats sitting around the stockade.
When you're in the stockade, you just sit around, Boatwright?
No, sir. But at least I didn't ride no horse out after wild Indians with a understrength troop.
You don't fool me, Boatwright. You'll never make a garrison soldier.
That's why I'm proud to be with you, Captain.
When we return to Fort Laramie, you go back into the stockade. You know that.
I always said I liked the Army, Captain.
Lieutenant Seibert's reporting, sir.
What'd you find, Mr. Seiberts?
Well, sir, we rode over there where the smoke was.
And?
It was a homestead, Captain. Fired by the Sioux.
Did they leave anybody there, Mr. Seiberts?
The man's still alive, sir. Corporal Mercer's with him. But the woman and the little girl, they're dead.
I see. What does the man say?
Nothing, sir. He's got no tongue.
Take charge of the troop, Mr. Seiberts. Sergeant Gorse and I'll ride over there.
Yes, sir. And, Captain, take a look at this.
That's a Henry rifle, Mr. Seiberts, latest model. If the Indians had gotten their hands on guns like that, why, we're in bad trouble. How is he, Corporal?
Bad, sir. They burned him some, too, but he's still conscious. Sure a slow way to die.
It's 100 miles to Fort Laramie, Captain.
You never lived that long, Sergeant. Give me your revolver. You and Corporal Mercer start back. I'll catch up with you.
Yes, sir. We'll move out, Mercer.
Think we'll go after them Sioux, Gorse?
I'm a first sergeant, not a captain.
Well, I know, but you and Quince run this company.
He's Captain Quince to you, Mercer.
Oh, sure.
And he runs this company.
Well, sure.
Everything all right, Captain?
Everything's all right, Sergeant.
Hey, what was that?
You shut up and keep riding, Corporal.
You don't have to get so hard-nosed.
Shut up, I said.
Oh, sure.
Sergeant.
Yes, sir.
When we get back, fall in a burial party.
Yes, sir.
And see that those graves are cairned.
Yes, sir.
And one other thing, Sergeant. Don't forget to pick up your revolver. That homesteader doesn't need it anymore. Captain Quince reporting, Major.
Sit down, Captain. I know you're mad because I ordered you back from chasing those Sioux last week, Lee, but...
You didn't see what they did to that Homestead family.
I've seen their work before.
There'll be more of it if we don't stop them.
10 miles from this post, there's a reservation of 4,000 Sioux. An uprising there'd be far more serious than your little band that's marauding under Yellowknife.
You have enough troops to patrol the reservation and still secure Fort Laramie here. Give me just half of B Company and I'll run down Yellowknife and his renegades.
My orders are to keep a constant watch on the reservation to secure Fort Laramie with all remaining troops.
Yellowknife is being supplied with rifles, Henry 44s.
I know that.
Those are repeating rifles, Major.
I've reported that to Washington, Captain.
Whoever's smuggling those rifles has got to be stopped or every brave on the reservation will join Yellowknife in spite of your patrols.
I've received no change of orders, Captain.
We can't afford to wait, sir. Give me Sergeant Gorse and 3 men, and I'll find that gun runner. We'll leave tonight, Major.
You'll not leave.
That a direct order?
It is.
Then, with the Major's permission... Mr. Seiberts.
Yes, Captain?
I'm leaving the post at 6 o'clock this evening. I'm taking Sergeant Gorse with me. Until I return, you'll act in command of B Company. Any questions?
None that would be proper, sir.
You're learning, Mr. Seiberts. I'll tell you where I'm going. There's a chief out on the reservation, an old friend of mine, Wild Dog. He's about 80, and he's pretty smart.
You're going to have a talk with him?
That's right.
If you'll excuse me, sir, Well, isn't it pretty dangerous walking right in among all those Sioux?
We'll try to reach Wild Dog before anything happens.
But, Captain...
That's all, Mr. Syberts.
Yes, sir.
Drop your gun belt across your saddle, Sergeant.
You mean that, Captain?
A revolver wouldn't do you much good if these Sioux decide they want us. We're safer unarmed.
All right, sir.
All right, let's move out.
Sure wish I had me at least a Bowie knife, Captain. I don't trust any of these devils.
It's late. Most of them are asleep.
There's 4,000 Sioux in this camp. They ain't all asleep.
Oh, we're being watched, all right.
Some young buck could get his first coup feather by spearing us.
You wouldn't want to stand in the way of a man becoming a brave, would you, Sergeant?
Captain, we're being stopped.
I see him. Keep walking.
There's only one brave. We can handle him.
Leave him to me, Sergeant.
Yes, sir.
Oni oya.
Diary, Wild Dog nya.
Ishli ai.
Ilya, zo valya. Ayazo. Let's move, Sergeant. But keep an eye on him.
He's still standing there, sir.
I told him I'm a friend of Wild Dog's. Luckily, he's from the same clan, White Fox. There it is. See that medicine pool over there?
With a white skin on it?
That's Wild Dog's lodge. Wait out here, Sergeant.
Oyo, Layazia.
Nice, Leozo. Come in, my son. Sit down.
It's been a long time since we talked, Wild Dog.
A long time. And now you come because of Yellowknife.
Yellowknife is leading your young men into war with my people.
There are many clans among the Sioux. I am chief only of White Fox.
What clan is Yellowknife?
Yellowknife is of Two Moon clan.
But there are White Fox braves with him.
Yes, I cannot stop them. I remember what it was like when I was young.
It was different when you were young, Wild Dog. You had a chance then. But now, they have no chance.
They have many rifles.
They have a few, Wild Dog, but the white man, the cavalry, has thousands of rifles. In the end, the Sioux cannot win. You are a wise man. You know this is true.
Yes, you are right.
Yellowknife and his braves will be caught and punished. Some of them will die. But if I don't stop his supply of rifles, many more of your people will die.
You want to know where rifles come from?
Tell me where Yellowknife meets the white man who's supplying them. I'll do the rest. You'll be saving lives, Wild Dog. Sioux lives.
For the sake of my people, I tell you. A place north of here. A place you call Bright Canyon.
Bright Canyon. Well, when it's over, I'll come back and we'll smoke the pipe.
Yes, if you come back.
If I come back. Captain Quince reporting, sir.
I hear you left the post last night, Captain.
Yes, sir.
Well, you never were much of a garrison soldier, were you?
No, sir.
You saw your friend Wild Dog, I suppose?
Yes, sir.
Well, Lee, I have new orders from Washington this morning.
Yes?
My orders to patrol the reservation and to secure Fort Laramie still stand. We're not to go after Yellowknife. But the importance of the Henry rifles is recognized, and we're to put a stop to it.
Yes, sir.
Can you do it?
I can.
All right. Take half of B Company only.
Yes, sir.
You'll pass the head of your column through the main gates of the post 1/2 hour before reveille tomorrow morning.
Right, sir.
And remember, Captain Quince, your orders are to stop that gun smuggler, not to run down Yellowknife. Any questions?
No, sir.
Then move out.
Sergeant Gorse?
Yes, sir.
Sergeant, ride out here with me and take a look at these tracks.
One shod pony and the rest is mules, Captain.
Then they're not Indians, are they?
No, sir.
And they're headed straight for the rim of that canyon ahead.
Bright Canyon, Captain?
Wild Dog wasn't lying. Take 5 men right out ahead of Corporal Mercer's point. Make a reconnaissance of the north rim. If it's clear, send a runner back.
Yes, sir.
Tell the point to swing north and to dismount in the cover of those trees below the crest.
Right, sir.
Move out.
Mr. Syberts!
Yes, Captain.
I think we found our man, Mr. Syberts. He'll be in that canyon up ahead. Sergeant Gorse is scouting the north rim of the canyon. If it's clear, we'll hide in those trees just below it, and then we'll wait.
Wait for what, sir?
Why, we'll catch him in the act, Mr. Syberts, when Yellowknife comes for his rifles.
But, Captain...
It's not my fault if Yellowknife gets in the way when we move in on that gun smuggler.
No, sir.
Mr. Syberts, pass the word to space out, stagger the odd files to the left. We're raising too much dust.
Hey, Boatwright. What are you doing over here, Vickers? Go on back to your post.
Oh, there's nothing happening down there in the valley. He's some gun smuggler. Just sits around in his cabin. What's the matter, Captain Quince, anyway? Half a troop against one man, and we hide around watching him for 2 days.
You can't figure nothing, Vickers. We're waiting for Yellowknife.
You mean we're gonna fight them Indians?
Soon as they show up.
You scared, Boatwright?
All I need is to kill me an Indian, and I won't be scared no more.
Yeah, me too. I think.
Who's throwing that rock?
It's Gorse and the captain.
Well, get down there. He signaled to you.
Oh, man, I'll catch it now.
What you doing away from your post, Vickers?
I couldn't see nothing where I was. I was wondering if Boatwright could, Sergeant.
You can be shot for leaving your post at a time like this, Vickers.
Yes, sir, Captain.
You're risking the life of every man in this troop. I'll get back where you belong.
Yes, sir, Captain.
Captain Boatwright wants us.
All right, come on.
The end of the canyon, sir. Look, there they come.
Yellowknife.
How many braves you figure he's got with him, Gorse?
It's hard to say yet, sir. Maybe 30.
They got a bunch of horses, too.
Yep, that's to pay for the rifles.
Captain, I can see more than 30 Sioux down there. Must be nigh under 40.
Yeah?
There's that dirty gun runner now out talking with Yellowknife.
I wish we had whole of B Company here.
Sergeant?
Yes, sir.
Take Boatwright and move out about 300 yards west of here. When you're ready, I want you to ride straight down into the canyon.
What?
Shut up.
Your orders are to find out if they're really trading for guns down there.
But, Captain...
If you run into any trouble, I'll have to help you out of it, that's all.
I understand, sir. Come on, Boatwright, let's move.
Well, of all the
Shut
crazy...
up.
And tell Mr. Syberts there I want to see him.
Right, sir.
You wanted me, Captain?
Mr. Syberts, I think those Sioux down there are trading for Henry rifles. Sergeant Gorse and Boatwright are going to ride down and find out.
You mean they're going alone, sir?
They are. It'd sure be a fight if we appeared in force. Might even look like I was trying to run Yellowknife down.
But they'll be killed, sir.
Well, I can't let that happen. If they're attacked, we'll just have to ride in. It'll be a rescue mission, Mr. Syberts.
I understand, Captain.
All right, now get back to the troop, pass the word to saddle and mount. Space out to 60 paces between mounts. It'll make us look full strength.
Right, sir.
And Mr. Syberts, I'll shoot the first man who crosses the ridge before I give the signal. Pass the order and then come back here. Any questions?
No, sir.
Move out.
Troops ready, Captain.
Just in time. There go Gorse and Boatwright.
They'll be seen any minute, sir.
Yeah. Let's get back. Get mounted, Mr. Syberts.
Yes, sir.
When we reach the cabin, you lead the troops. I'll stop for the gunrunner. As skirmishers, ho! Skirmishers, ho! At the trot, ho! Ho! Gallop! Sergeant Gorse!
Yes, sir.
Where'd the white man go? He isn't with him up there.
I never seen him, Captain.
Well, he must be in the cabin here. I'm going in after him.
I'll go in with you, sir.
No, you stay with the troop. They've chased them far enough. And get those stolen horses rounded up.
Right, sir.
You're all through, mister. Come out of there.
No, you ain't gonna hang me.
Come out with your hands up. You'll get a trial.
Hanging's bad. I ain't gonna hang.
It's your choice, mister. Come out or I'll kill you right there.
I'll take my chances.
Suits me.
They're still running, Captain. But we killed some of them.
What about Yellowknife?
He's dead, sir. Right over there. Private Boatwright killed him.
That Boatwright lying over there too, Mr. Syberts?
Afraid so, sir. He took a bullet after he got Yellowknife.
Sergeant Gorse has some men rounding up their horses, Mr. Syberts. Reform the rest of the troop. Take care of the wounded. Detail 6 men for a burial party.
Yes, sir. Mercer, over here.
Hello, Boatwright.
Captain, sir?
What can I do for you?
Nothing, Captain. I'm all shut up. There's nothing anyone can do.
That was Yellowknife you killed, Boatwright.
I always wanted to get me an Indian, Captain. But I sure never figured it'd be Yellowknife.
You did fine, Boatwright.
But here's something I took off Yellowknife. You keep it for me. You know what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I sure do.
I feel all wet inside, Captain.
I'm sorry, Boatwright.
It's all right. I ain't scared.
Of course not.
Tell them goodbye for me, Captain. All of them.
Captain Quince reporting, sir.
I've just finished going over your report, Captain.
Yes, sir.
I'm not sure on reading it whether you deliberately disobeyed orders or not. Would you care to clarify that point?
Major Daggett, did you ever see one of these?
That's a scalp.
Private Boatwright took it off a Yellowknife, Major. It's a woman's scalp. Young woman.
Get rid of it.
Yes, sir.
Captain Quince, I'm reporting to Washington that the gun smuggler's been destroyed, but that you were attacked by Yellowknife during the operation and were forced to defend yourself.
Thank you, Major.
That's all, Captain. Oh, Captain.
Yes, sir?
Just one more thing. In regard to your recommendation for a posthumous medal for Private Boatwright.
Yes, sir.
Washington might question a report that recommended an honor for one of the soldiers who actually brought on Yellowknife's attack. So, for the good of the company, I'd suggest...
That's all right, Major. Boatwright'd understand. He was a real soldier. A line soldier.
Fort Laramie is produced and directed by Norman MacDonald and stars Raymond Burr as Lee Quince, Captain of Cavalry, with Vic Perrin as Sergeant Gorse. The script was specially written for Fort Laramie by John Meston, with sound patterns by Bill James and Ray Kemper, musical supervision by Amerigo Marino. Featured in the cast were Harry Bartell, Bob Sweeney, Sam Edwards, Jack Moyles, Jan Arvin, Joe Cranston, and Lou Krugman.
Company, tension! Dismiss!
Next week, another transcribed story of the Northwest frontier and the troopers who fought under Lee Quince, Captain of Cavalry. People keep saying that conversation is a lost art, but meanwhile, proof keeps popping up that they're wrong. All that's needed is a good conversationalist. And one of the best is a man who's also rather well known as a singer and an actor, a man named Bing Crosby. You can hear Bing holding forth on almost every subject under the sun, lighting up the subject with his own easy and humorous point of view each evening, Monday through Friday, on his own show over most of these same stations. And, oh yes, you'll hear plenty of wonderful singing, too. After all, it's the Bing Crosby Show.
"68 years ago, January 29th, 1956, Fort Laramie here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. We'll head to Dodge City in a moment after I tell you that tomorrow's crime-filled show and weirdness will feature Inner Sanctum Mysteries. This is your FBI, Barry Craig Confidential Investigator, The Shadow, Dark Fantasy, and even weirder, Lum and Abner. That's all coming up on our Tuesday Classic Radio Theater edition of the podcast. Right now, William Conrad and Gunsmoke follows these messages.
Ladies and gentlemen, last year's traffic death toll was 37,500, a 7% increase over 1950. The National Safety Council believes that the best way to promote safety on the road is for each of us to know and obey traffic laws, to read and heed traffic signs. So be careful. The life you save may be your own.
A reminder to our listeners over on YouTube that we get none of the advertising revenue that surrounds us on YouTube. The best thing you can do if you'd like to support the show, you'd like to see him continue, go to our webpage, classicradio.stream. Use the Buy Me a Coffee function there. That would be greatly appreciated. You'll also see a number of items there for sale. Purchasing those also helps support this broadcast. And may I also, at classicradio.stream, which is our webpage, classicradio.stream, we have links to our social media sites. You can learn about building a classic radio collection of your own, and you can contact us through that as well. Got some interesting articles there I hope you enjoy. Now, on this, what is this? This is a Monday Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. William Conrad stars as Marshal Matt Dillon in Gunsmoke. This episode from 69 years ago today, January 26, 1955, entitled Young Love.
Gunsmoke, brought to you by L&M Filters. This is it. L&M is best. Stands out from all the rest. Around Dodge City and in the territory on west, there's just one way to handle the killers and the spoilers, and that's with a U.S. Marshal and the smell of Gunsmoke. Gunsmoke, starring William Conrad. The transcribed story of the violence that moved west with young America. And the story of a man who moved with it.
I'm that man, Matt Dillon, United States Marshal. The first man they look for and the last they want to meet. It's a chancy job, and it makes a man watchful. And a little lonely.
Rod, you sure that's Jesse Wheat's buggy coming yonder?
I got eyes like an eagle, Box. That's his buggy, and that's Jesse driving it.
Good.
I wish you'd tell me what we rode down here to meet him for.
Look, kid, we've been together 6 months, ain't we?
Sure.
Another month or two, we're going to be rich.
Not riding for Jesse Wheat, we ain't.
We're just about through riding for Jesse Wheat.
Huh?
Let's wait for him here.
You mean you're going to tell him we're quitting?
I ain't going to tell him nothing. What we're going to do ain't none of his business.
You're sure a hard man to understand sometimes.
You'll learn. Oh, look at Jesse. He's kind of mad already.
What are you men doing clear down here?
We're going into Dodge, Jesse.
No, you ain't. I ain't paying you to spend time in Dodge.
You just been there.
I had business there. Now you men turn around and ride back to the ranch and get to work.
For a man that don't carry a gun, you talk mighty loud, Jesse.
I don't have to carry a gun.
Don't you? Look at mine, Jesse.
Point that thing the other way.
No.
Now look, quit fooling. I don't like it.
I ain't fooling.
What you doing, Box? You're just gonna make him mad.
I'm gonna kill him.
Now look here. I've had enough of this. You put that gun away.
Shut up, Jesse.
You shot him.
Of course I shot him.
What for?
You're always asking questions.
He wasn't even armed. He didn't do nothing. That's murder.
Nobody'll ever know.
But why'd you do it?
You wanted to get rich, didn't you?
What's killing Jesse Wheat got to do with that?
You'll see.
You're in trouble. Murdering Jesse like that. You're really in trouble.
No more than you are, kid. If they catch you. Don't you ever forget it.
But I didn't know you was going to do this.
That don't matter. Now we'll get that horse started for home, and by the time he and Jesse get there, we'll have our alibi all set in Dodge. Nobody'll ever know where or when this happened. See how smart? You stick with me, kid.
Where are we going now, Box?
We're going to set our alibi with a man who's going to be more interested in this business than anybody in Dodge.
Who's that?
Standing right up there.
Oh, now, wait
Shut
a
up, kid. I'll do the talking. Hello, Marshal.
Hello.
Well, I guess you don't remember us, Marshal.
No, I don't.
Well, we only been in Dodge once before. I'm Jim Box, Marshal. My friend here's Rod Allison.
Oh, how do you do?
Hello? We worked for Jesse Wheat, Marshal. We was to meet him here, and we can't find him no place.
Well, I saw Jesse last night. Maybe he's gone back to the ranch.
That'd sure beat all, telling us to meet him and then forgetting all about it. Oh, that Jesse's getting too old. Why, we've been looking for him the past 2 hours.
Box.
Shut
Hey,
up.
Box.
Like I was saying, Marshal.
No, look.
Well, I'll be.
That's Jesse's buggy. Going into the stable there.
Yeah, and there's nobody driving that buggy.
They sure ain't. But it's Jesse's.
Well, let's go over and take a look, huh?
What for, Marshal? Jesse ain't there.
You too. Come on.
Kind of funny. Horse and buggy and nobody driving it. I sure hope nothing's happened to Jesse. Don't you, Rod?
It'd be awful.
How long you men worked for Jesse Wheat?
Ooh, some 6 weeks, Marshal. He's sure a good boss. We like him fine, don't we, Rod?
He treats us real good.
Whose stable is this?
Moss Grimmick runs it, but he's not here right now. And there's the buggy.
Well, look there, Marshal. Why, it's Jesse. Why, he must be sick or something.
Yeah. He's dead. He's been shot.
That's terrible. Now, who'd have done that?
I can't understand that horse coming back here. Why wouldn't he have gone on home to the ranch like any horse would?
You say you've been working for Jesse 6 weeks?
Well, sure.
And you ought to know his brand.
Hey, that ain't a XL horse.
No, it isn't. It belongs to the stable here. Jesse told me last night that his horse went lame.
I never noticed the horse.
It don't matter, Rod. It's a good thing that horse brought him back here. Now the marshal can get to work fast and find who killed him. We'll help you, Marshal. We sure don't like old Jesse getting shot.
Well, you can help me get him out of the buggy. But I'll handle the rest of it. It's not your trouble.
This is it, L&M filters.
It stands out from all the rest.
Miracle tip, much more flavor. L&M's got everything.
It's the best.
Yes, L&M is best. Stands out from all the rest. L&M stands out for flavor. 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 Flavor.
The Miracle Tip draws easy. You enjoy all the taste.
L&M stands out for effective filtration. 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 Filtration.
No filter compares with L&M's pure white Miracle Tip.
L&M's got everything.
It's America's best filter tip cigarette.
Mr. Dillon?
Yeah, what, Chester?
Jesse Wheat was a whole lot older than his wife, wasn't he?
Didn't you ever meet her?
No, sir, I never did.
Yeah, Anna Wheat's about 22. Jesse was in his late 40s.
Yeah. Maybe she done it.
What?
Killed him. Maybe it was her because he was so old and all.
Chester, you remember the tracks back there just before Jesse's buggy turned around and headed back to Dodge?
Oh, yeah, I forgot. They was two horses stopped it, wasn't they?
That's right.
Yeah, then it must have been them fellas Jim Box and Rod Allison.
Maybe. Oh, look, there's Anna on the porch. You must have seen us coming.
Hey, she is young.
I hope she's already heard about this. Well, let's get on here, Chester.
Yes, sir.
Hello, Anna.
Hello, Marshal.
Anna, this is Chester Proudfoot.
How do you do?
How do, Miss Wheat?
Did Jim Box and Rod Allison show up yet?
They told me about Jesse. He was a good man, Marshal. He treated me like a daughter.
Well, did you know anybody who might have had a reason to kill him?
Well, of course not. Jesse didn't have any enemies that I know of.
How'd he get along with Jim Box and Rod Allison?
You don't think Rod had anything to do with it?
Well, all right. What about Box? Any trouble with him?
He's different from Rod. I don't like him. But there hasn't been any trouble that I know of.
Uh-huh. Where are they now, Anna?
Oh, they rode off somewhere out with the cattle, I guess.
Does anybody else work for you?
No, just them, Marshal. But they said they'd stay on here on the XL as long as I want 'em. And right now, with all the stock, I really need 'em.
Yeah, sure.
Will you come in for some coffee? You and Chester?
Well, thanks, Anna, but next time, maybe, huh? We've got to get back. Well, so long.
Bye, Marshal. Goodbye, Chester.
Bye, Miss Wheat. Well, we sure didn't learn much from her, Mr. Dillon.
Not much.
Ain't we going to wait and talk them two fellows again?
Now, it might make them jumpy, Chester. I want them to feel safe. They made one mistake. They'll make another. It was hard to believe that two cowboys like Jim Box and young Rod Allison wouldn't have noticed the horse Jesse Wheat was driving wasn't his own. But I guess when you're murdering a man, you got other things on your mind. It was a bad mistake, however. And from then on, I was ready and waiting to move on him. My first chance came about a month later, when I heard that some XL cattle had been driven to Dodge and were being sold to a buyer named Jake Worth. So Chester and I walked down to the loading pens to have a look.
There's Jake over yonder, Mr. Dillon. He's talking to some fella.
Yeah, that's Jim Box he's talking to, Chester.
Oh, I couldn't tell with his back to us. I wonder where Rod is.
We'll ask him. Hello, Jake.
Well, hello, Marshal. Chester?
Hello, Jake.
Those, XL cattle you buying?
Only 30 head, Marshal.
Uh-huh. Did, Rod help you drive him in, Box?
Last night, Marshal.
Now, where is he now?
He went back to the ranch this morning. Why?
Jake, what are you paying for these steers?
We just settled on $20, Marshal.
$20. Now, it's 30 head. That'd come to, $600, wouldn't it?
What are you trying to say, Marshal? You think there's something wrong with my selling them steers?
No. No. Not as long as Anna Wheat gets the $600.
Now, wait a minute here. I took it for granted she knew about this sale.
You got such a smart marshal. Take a look at this, Jake.
Looks okay, Marshal, but you better read it, too. Here. She's given him full authority to sell the stock and collect the money.
Of course she has. Well, you through reading, Marshal?
Yeah, I'm through reading.
You want to apologize?
Jake.
What?
Anytime this man sells XL cattle to you, I want to know about it. And I'm going to tell every other buyer in Dodge the same thing.
That ain't much of an apology, Marshal.
Come on, Chester. See you later, Jake.
Sure.
My gracious, that Box is awful mad, Mr. Dillon.
Well, he ought to be. I just ruined his game.
Yeah, but couldn't he run off with the money one of these times before you checked with Anna?
No, he's too smart to become a cow thief for a few $100s, Chester. Now, he wants more than that.
Well, he can't get it now, can he?
Well, he couldn't.
How?
By killing me.
Evening, Marshal. What'll it be, sir?
Nothing for me, Sam, but I'll take a glass of beer over there to Miss Kitty.
Got it right here, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on the house, Marshal.
All right, Sam, I'll tell her that.
She's the only girl in here that don't drink whiskey all night long.
Well, she claims it makes her drunk.
My whiskey'd make a buffalo drunk, Marshal.
I'll tell her that, too. There you are, Kitty. Compliments of the house.
Where's yours?
No, not tonight for me. Well, place looks kind of quiet tonight.
That suits me.
Well, you won't get rich in an empty saloon, Kitty.
I won't get old either.
Kitty,
Hmm?
why don't you quit and marry some nice young fella and settle down on a ranch or something?
Huh.
Oh, what's wrong with that?
I've lived on a ranch. The women work harder than the men do.
Well, don't they everywhere?
Not in New York. At least so I've heard.
Well, why don't you go to New York, then?
What are you trying to do, Matt? Get rid of me?
No, of course not. I, just like to see you happy, that's all.
I'm happy. You're the one that's doing all the complaining.
Yeah, I guess I am.
You're like a man trying to ride two horses at once, Matt. They do that only in circuses. Not practical anywhere else.
No, Kitty, you know I'm a simple man.
Tell that to somebody who doesn't know you. Like Jake Worth.
Jake Worth?
No, looks like he's come to tell you something.
Oh?
Evening, Miss Kitty, Marshal.
Hello, Jake.
Jake?
Sit down.
Thanks. It's all right to talk in front of Kitty, ain't it, Marshal?
It doesn't matter, Jake. She finds out everything anyway. Now, what's on your mind?
Jim Box.
Oh?
Remember a couple of weeks ago how you told me to report any sales of XL cattle?
Yeah, sure.
Well, he ain't sold none since then, but you're right. He's a crook.
Well, how do you know?
He come in this afternoon and offered to sell me some 500 head. That's about all the cattle Anna Wheat owns.
Well, maybe she's selling out.
No. Box says I can have 'em real cheap, providing I don't tell you about it.
Oh. Now, what did you say, Jake?
I said I'd take 'em. He's hired a couple of men from somewheres, and they're driving the herd in day after tomorrow. I told them the Santa Fe would have cattle cars ready by then.
Uh-huh. All right, thanks, Jake.
Them 2 men he's hired, they can probably ride good enough, but they ain't real cowboys.
Well, I'll go out tomorrow and have a look at them.
And I'm glad I ain't got your job. Not going against them gunmen.
Marshal. Chester, come on in.
Hi, Miss Wheat.
What brings you out here, Marshal?
Where are the men, Anna?
Oh, they're out on the prairie somewheres. They'll be in for supper.
Huh? All of them?
You mean both of them?
Jim Box and Rod the only men here?
Of course. Why?
Oh, nothing.
Is there something wrong, Marshal?
Yeah, plenty.
Then I'd better tell you something. Rod and I are going to get married.
What?
We fell in love when he first came here. I told Jesse about it right off. He understood. Jesse was a sick man. I guess he figured he wouldn't live very long anyway. All he asked was that we'd wait a while. But we didn't do anything wrong, Marshal.
Look, Anna, I'm here to arrest Allison and Box.
What?
One of them murdered Jesse. They both had good reasons.
Oh, Marshal, you can't. Not Rod. I know him. He wouldn't do that.
Take a chair by the window, Chester. We'll wait for him.
L&M is best. Stands out from all the rest. L&M's got everything.
Everything?
Everything.
Best flavor?
L&M stands out for flavor. The Miracle Tip draws easy. Lets you enjoy all the taste.
Best filter?
L&M stands out for effective filtration. No filter compares with L&M's pure white Miracle Tip for quality or effectiveness.
Best tobacco?
Highest quality tobaccos. Low nicotine tobaccos. L&M tobaccos. Light and mild. Every way, L&M is best. Stands out from all the rest.
They've got everything.
King size or regular, L&M is America's best filter tip cigarette.
Yeah, what, Chester?
You better come here and take a look.
Huh?
There's 3 of them.
Yeah. Well, they must have left one man with a herd.
And it was Rod. That's Jim Box and 2 strangers out there.
Rod isn't with him?
No.
Thank heaven.
That's no use, Anna. We're going to have to find him anyway.
Not if Jim Box kills you, you won't.
Chester, take Anna out to the kitchen. If she tries to warn them, stop her.
Yes, sir.
I'll hide here by the door. And if they get me, you do what you can.
I'm sorry, Marshal. I didn't really mean what I said.
That's okay, Anna.
Come on, man.
Sure.
You men wait there. I won't be long. Anna? Anna, where are you?
I'm in the kitchen.
Come in here.
I'm busy. You come out here.
My gun, I will.
Drop it, Box.
You gonna shoot me in the back, Marshal?
Drop the gun.
I don't trust you.
You got him, Mr. Dillon?
Get out of the way, Chester. His men will be here in a minute.
Hey, they're running off. Let's go get our horses, Mr. Dillon.
No. Let them go, Chester.
Well, we can catch them easy.
I got nothing on them. It's Rod I want.
Did they get away, Marshal?
Now, they won't stop till they hit the Rocky Mountains, Anna.
You killed Jim Box.
Yeah, I had to.
Now Rod's all alone. He's the only one left to blame it on, isn't he?
I tried to take Box alive, Anna.
Anna! Anna!
Rod.
No, Anna, wait.
No.
All right, careful now, Chester. You'll use her as a shield.
Oh, I won't shoot, Mr. Dillon.
Rod, what's the matter?
Now what?
Don't shoot him, Marshal.
Well, looks like he's already been shot.
Are you hurt bad, Rod?
I ain't gonna die.
He was lying on the floor here when I came in, Marshal.
Get his gun, Chester.
Yes, sir. I ain't gonna use my gun. Oh, well, I'll take it anyway.
Now, who shot you, Rod?
Box did. But I got away.
Well, why would he shoot you?
I found out he was gonna steal Anna's cattle. And I started an argument. He shot me, but I got away. I was riding up from in back there when I heard the shooting.
You see, Marshal, Rod hasn't done anything.
Rod, who killed Jesse?
What difference does it make? You'll never believe me anyway now.
Don't talk like that. Tell him.
They'll hang me, Anna. I never done it, but they'll hang me anyway now.
Marshal?
Yeah.
Is that true? What he says?
It could be. If I charged him with it.
Well, what are you going to do, Marshal? Tell me.
I'm going to leave Chester here to help you take care of him till I send Doc out. And when he's well, why, you bring him into Dodge.
You mean to jail?
Well, you might stop by. That is, if you want me at the wedding.
Now our star, William Conrad.
Thank you, George. Today, there's one filter cigarette that stands out from all the rest. L&M stands out for flavor, for effective filtration, for highest quality tobacco. L&M's got everything. That's what makes it America's best filter tip cigarette. Try L&M, king size or regular. I know you'll go for 'em.
Gunsmoke, produced and directed by Norman MacDonald, stars William Conrad as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal. Our story was specially written for Gunsmoke by John Meston, with music composed and conducted by Rex Corey. Sound patterns by Tom Handley and Ray Kemper. Featured in the cast were Sam Edwards, Eleanor Tannen, Vic Perrin, Don Diamond, and Frank Cady. Parley Bear is Chester, Howard McNear is Doc, and Georgia Ellis is Kitty.
Stop! Start smoking with a smile, with Chesterfield, smiling all the while, with Chesterfield. Put a smile in your smoking, just give 'em a try. Light up a Chesterfield, they satisfy.
Put a smile in your smoking. Next time you buy cigarettes, stop. Remember this. In the whole wide world, No cigarette satisfies like Chesterfield. Listen to Chesterfield's two great radio shows every week. The Perry Como Show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and Dragnet Tuesday nights on another network. Remember, listen again next week for another transcribed story of the Western frontier when Marshal Matt Dillon, Chester Proudfoot, Doc, and Kitty, together with all the other hard-living citizens of Dodge, will be with you once more. It's America growing west in the 1870s. It's drama. It's Gunsmoke. Brought to you by L&M Filter.
This is the CBS Radio Network.
69 years ago, January 26, 1955, Gunsmoke here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Coming up in just a moment, we'll head to more crime, but these more contemporary. This from 76 years ago, January 29, 1948, Staats Cotsworth, Casey crime photographer, and the Piggy Bank Robbery. That is coming up next.
Instead of going down, the annual rate of polio cases in this country is going up. Instead of growing panicky with fear in the face of such an unwelcome fact, there is a way in which we all can join the Army which is fighting to check this trend and ultimately defeat infantile paralysis. We can contribute to the March of Dimes. Give today so that the 1952 March of Dimes will be the biggest ever and a really potent fighting force against polio.
Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, Staats Cotsworth, starring as Casey crime photographer. This episode from January 29th, 1948, 76 years ago, the Piggy Bank Robbery.
The Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation brings you Crime Photographer.
Hiya, Casey.
Hi, Ethelbert. What's new?
Did you read here what the president of the Columbia Broadcasting System says? He says one of these days we'll have radio sets so small you can wear them on your wrist.
Oh, that'll be wonderful.
Yeah, you can always have a radio with you.
Oh, man, that'll be wonderful.
You seem quite excited about this new wristwatch radio, Tony.
Well, why shouldn't I be? It's wonderful. Then every Thursday, everybody will know the right time to hear me say, Anchor Hocking is the most famous name in glass. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tony Marvin. Every week at this time, the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, and its more than 10,000 employees bring you another adventure of Casey, crime photographer, ace cameraman who covers the crime news of a great city. Written by Alonzo Dean Cole, our adventure for tonight, the Piggy Bank Robbery. "8:15 in the morning. An elevator in the towering Express building stops at an upper floor and discharges a sleepy-eyed Casey. Heavy-footed, he walks across the corridor and wearily opens a glass-paneled door labeled Photography Department.
Hi, Casey.
Hello, Jim.
Your car break down on the way here, or have you simply decided to keep banker's hours?
What do you mean?
Hasn't anyone ever told you that we button pushers are supposed to punch the clock at 8 a.m. sharp when we're on morning shift?
Oh, nuts to you.
Okay, pal.
I never can wake up in time for this morning trick.
City desk been looking for me?
No, but Bill Shapiro has.
Oh, what does Cubby want?
He came in all excited this morning. Something very mysterious has happened to him.
What happened to him?
Well, sometime during the night... here he is. He'll tell you himself.
Casey,
Oh, Bill.
I've been up the city room looking for you. Thought you might have gone there before coming here.
You didn't tell the desk I hadn't shown up here, I hope.
Certainly not. What do you think I am?
Okay, I'm only kidding, pal. Jim tells me something happened to you last night.
It was the darndest thing, Casey.
Oh, sit down, Bill. Spill your story.
You're not going to yawn when you hear it. This is something right up your alley.
At this time of day, my alley is strictly...
Well, of course, if you don't want to be bothered.
Oh, wait a minute. Excuse me. I don't mean to be a sleepy lug, Bill. Naturally, I'm interested in whatever happened to you. Go ahead, shoot.
Casey, you know my wife and me have a 16-month-old kid.
Uh-huh.
Well, when I got up to come to work this morning, naturally, the first thing I do is to go into the living room to look at Julius where he sleeps.
Naturally.
What do you think I see besides Julius?
What?
Someone's been in our living room during the night. They jimmied the door and searched the place.
Well, they didn't hurt the kid, did they?
They didn't even wake him. And we couldn't see that anything was missing at first. The wife's gold wristwatch was laying out in plain sight, and so was $15. But the burglar hadn't touched him. What do you think was the one and only thing he took, Casey?
Well, you tell me.
Little Julius's piggy bank.
Piggy bank? Much dough in it?
Not over $1 in small change.
Your burglar was either a goof or some kid.
Wait a minute. Been around enough to know the kind of jobs house prowlers do, and our job was opened by an expert. Casey, I got an idea why that piggy bank was stolen.
Huh? Why? What is it?
This was a brand new piggy bank because Julius busted his old one yesterday morning.
So?
You see, Julius likes his piggy bank like some kids like a certain doll.
Uh-huh.
He always wants it with him when the wife takes him out in his carriage. And sometimes people who stop to look at him drop a couple of pennies in it. Well, someone dropped something else in that bank of his. The one that he busted.
What?
Now, this is something I ain't told anybody else, Casey, because if there's a big story in it, you're the guy who can get it, and I want you to have it.
Thanks.
You've been awful nice to me since I've been working here.
Well, you're not a hard guy to be nice to, Bill. Well, what did somebody drop in the kid's bank?
This.
That looks like a pass key.
Uh-huh. Somebody who stopped to admire the kid must have stuck it in there. Now, I think it was some crook who had to get rid of it in a hurry, and last night he came to get it back. But he didn't know, of course, that the bank he took wasn't the same one he put the key in.
Your wife didn't remember anybody dropping the key in at all.
No. What do you think, Casey?
Well, this may be just an old key to nothing at all that some chiseler dropped in the bank like some guys drop slugs in the collection baskets at church.
But it might be the key to a place where stolen dough was hid. Or jewels.
Now, if this was a key to a safety deposit box, I think you might have an idea, but it isn't. This is just an ordinary flat cylinder locked door key, that's all.
My idea's all wet, huh?
Well, it's pretty far-fetched, you know, Bill. Of course, you reported the burglary to the cops, huh?
Yeah.
What'd they say?
Well, what you said, that only a goof or a kid would steal a baby's piggy bank and nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't tell them about the key. You keep this key and think about it, Casey. I still got a notion there's a mystery in it and a story.
Okay, Bill. I'll just stick it in my desk drawer and do some thinking about it. Yes, I will. When I wake up, if you don't mind, I'm going to grab myself a nap.
Sure.
Uh-oh, nuts. Photography department, Casey speak. Oh, hello, Burke. Yeah, go ahead, shoot.
City desk.
What? Wharf Street, under Pier 30. All right, I got it. Well, who's Manny Armstrong? Oh, sure, yeah, I remember now. Listen, tell Annie Williams I'll meet her downstairs in the lobby. We'll get right down there. Goodbye.
Well, what is it, Casey?
That's the end of my nap. Manny Armstrong, the counterfeiter, has just been found murdered.
Counterfeiter?
Yeah, one of the smoothest, too. He nearly drove the Treasury Department nuts before they nailed him. That was around 10 years ago. I'd almost forgotten the guy's name. Where's my hat?
There, on your head.
What? Oh, thanks, yeah. I'll see you later, Bill.
Don't forget to think about that key, Casey.
Key? What key? Oh, yeah, sure, yeah. I'll think about it, kid. So long.
Hey, Walter, go down cellar and bring up some more sweet vermouth. We only got one bottle left the back of this bar here.
And bring up some more lemons.
Yeah, and some... huh? When did you two blow away? Never mind them lemons, Walter.
Just
now.
Oh, boy, do we feel beat up, too.
You can say that again. We've stuck on an assignment for 12 solid hours, Ethelbert.
What assignment, Miss Williams?
The Manny Armstrong murder.
I read about that in the evening papers. He's the old counterfeiter who was just freed from prison.
Yeah, well, he didn't enjoy much freedom. He gets into this town yesterday morning after being sprung from the federal pen at Lewisburg, and this morning he's found dead under a barge pier.
Beaten to death, the papers said.
Not just beaten, Ethelbert. He was deliberately tortured.
Yeah?
Well, that side of the murder's off the record. The cops don't want it known yet, Ethelbert, so...
Of course, I won't say anything. Any clues as to who done it, Casey? Off the record?
Well, only one.
Yeah?
Marks on his face and head indicate that the guy who beat him wore a heavy signet ring with a big, sharp-cornered letter E on it.
That sounds like a hot clue.
Well, that's what made us stick with the case so many hours, but it hasn't led us anywhere so far.
Thank goodness we'll get time off tomorrow for those extra hours, Casey. I'll use them all as sleeping.
Me too, Annie. Hey, Ethelbert, have some coffee brought here to the bar for us, will you, pal?
Sure. Hey, Walter! Walter, have some coffee brought for Miss Williams and Casey. And take back them lemons. To get back to the subject, didn't this Manny Armstrong have some known enemies who might
For a
have...
crook, he had very few enemies, pal. Anyway, the torture angle indicates that the killer was trying to make Armstrong cough up information.
And the cops have another angle on that. The Treasury Department got a conviction against Armstrong 10 years ago for making and passing $5 and $10 bills that were good enough to fool anyone but experts. They weren't able to find the plates he made them with. Those engraved plates would be worth plenty to another crook who wanted to go into the counterfeiting racket.
So the killer may have tried to make Armstrong tell where they was hid, huh?
That's the idea.
You think he did tell?
It's doubtful if he was able to tell.
Why?
You see, during his last 5 years in prison, Armstrong was a very sick guy. He almost completely lost his memory. Prison doctors are convinced that Armstrong doesn't know where he hid those plates or recall much of anything else that he did before his sickness began.
Which seems to explain why he was beaten to death, Ethelbert.
He couldn't tell.
Yeah, that's right. Say, where's that coffee?
Hey, Walter, where's... Excuse me, there's the bar phone. Blue Note Cafe, Ethelbert speaking. Yeah, just a minute. For you, Casey,
What?
Your city debt.
City debt?
Oh, we're not on duty.
And we're not going to be. Give me that phone. Hello, Casey speak. Oh, there's an assignment you think I'd like to cover, huh? After I just put in 12 hours on a job. What do you think I am, anyway? Wait a minute. Say that again. I'll go up there right away. Thanks a million. Thanks for handing this to me, boss.
This guy's sick, Miss Williams.
What is it, Casey?
Bill Shapiro's just been taken to the hospital. He may die.
Bill Shapiro.
The cub photographer you like?
That's right, yeah.
He was in here just this morning telling me about his apartment being robbed of a piggy bank.
Tonight, he's been almost beaten to death. His wife's badly hurt, too.
But why?
Come on, Annie. We're going to find out why.
Say, tell me, did you ever take a magnificent roast, steaming hot from the oven, and put it on a platter, and suddenly, bingo, the platter cracks? Well, that simply can't happen with Jadeite, the amazing new dinnerware developed by Anchor Hocking. You see, Jadeite is as heat-proof as the Fire King oven glass you use for baking, and yet it has the delicate beauty of rare old Chinese porcelain. And Jadeite prices are incredibly low. For example, a cup and saucer in open stock cost only 15 cents. And a complete 35-piece Jadeite dinner service for $6 costs less than $5. So ask for beautiful jade green Jadeite dinnerware at chain stores, department stores, hardware stores, and all other stores selling chinaware and glass. Remember the name, Jadeite, spelled Jadeite. Jadeite, the newest triumph of Anchor Hocking. The most famous name in glass.
Since you're on the job here, Logan, I guess it means Shapiro is a homicide case.
Fortunately, it doesn't, Casey. I just got word from the hospital that your friend's going to be okay.
Oh, yeah?
I'm so glad, Captain.
Me too. How about his wife and his baby?
The baby wasn't hurt at all. Mrs. Shapiro is hit in the head and KO'd, but right now she's suffering from nothing worse than shock and hysteria. She's been taken to the hospital, too.
Well, what happened in this apartment?
Well, Mrs. Shapiro said that about 6:30, just as she and her husband were about to have dinner, she answered a knock at the door, and when she opened it, saw a man there, and, well, that's the last she remembers.
The man knocked her unconscious then.
Yeah. And when she regained consciousness, she found her husband lying on the kitchen floor, dead, she thought, so I got a homicide report when she phoned headquarters.
Was she able to describe the guy who hit her, Logan?
No, he worked too fast. And her husband won't be able to tell us anything for at least a week.
Yeah. Of course, she told you about the burglary here last night.
Yeah. Oh, you know about that piggy bank thing, eh?
Yeah, Bill told me this morning. Think there's any connection there?
I've been trying to figure one, Casey, but the parts don't fit. Anyone who prowls an apartment and steals nothing but a kid's penny bank isn't the sort of crook who comes back later and nearly kills a guy.
Yeah, that's the way it seems to me, too.
But I have found a connection with something else that's red hot.
Yeah?
What?
Now, it's strictly off the record. Whoever beat up Shapiro wore a signet ring with a big, sharp initial E.
Casey!
You found the same marks on Bill as you found on Manny Armstrong?
Mm-hmm. And the beating Shapiro got was like the one Armstrong took, blows to the head and face, only Shapiro lived through it.
Yeah, but...
What connection can Bill Shapiro, just a cub reporter, have with Armstrong?
That's what I want to ask you and Casey, Miss Williams. You especially, pal. You know Shapiro.
Well, he couldn't have any connection with Armstrong. He was only a kid when Armstrong went to jail 10 years ago. Now, wait a minute. What did Mrs. Shapiro tell you about that piggy bank robbery?
Only that the bank was stolen.
Did she mention anything about a key?
Key? What key?
Maybe the key to the Shapiro-Armstrong connection. Pal, I'm going back to the office. Where can I reach you in half an hour?
Hey, what is it?
Yeah, that's what I'd like to know.
I got a notion. Or rather, Bill Shapiro had one that may pay off. I don't want to talk about it till I do some thinking that I promised Bill I'd do before.
Then maybe you know what you're talking about. I don't.
Where can I reach you in half an hour?
I'll be back at headquarters.
All right, I'll phone you there. Come on, let's get to the office, Annie.
Oh, okay, but lady in the dark had nothing on me.
Well, I'll enlighten you on the way, Annie. Come on. I tossed it in a drawer of my desk this morning. Here it is. Here it is.
It's just an ordinary flat pass key.
Maybe it isn't ordinary. Wait a minute. Let's try this magnifying glass on it.
Why?
I got a hunch.
Well, through the magnifying glass, it's still an ordinary flat pass key.
Look at the other side.
Still nothing out of the ordinary.
No.
Oh, there goes the hunch.
I guess so. Nuts. You see, Armstrong was an engraver, and I figured he might have engraved something on this key so fine that it couldn't be seen with the naked eye. Something maybe about the location of those counterfeit plates that he hid away before his memory went haywire. Well, I'm used to being wrong.
You gave Captain Logan a big build-up about this. You better call him up and tell him to forget it.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Now, what now?
I just noticed something different about this key Bill Shapiro gave me.
Different?
This isn't a key turned out by one of the big lock companies. This is a duplicate.
So what?
Well, locksmiths who make duplicate keys often stamp their names on the blanks they use, but I've never known of one of them who stamps on the original number, Annie. This key I got from Bill Shapiro has a name and an identifying number on it.
Yeah. Ludwig Marius. And the number's 12138.
Hey, wait a minute. That isn't a true identification number. Manufacturers use serial letters to avoid running their numbers up into the millions. This key has no letters on it.
What do you think?
Well, this 12138 must be a code of some kind. And the name... Wait a minute. Let me look at this phone book.
Yeah.
Armstrong spent most of his life in this town. He was arrested here. He must have hidden those plates here. Marius is an uncommon name. Let's see. Wait a minute. There's only one listed in the book, Annie. And he's listed as Edward Marius, DDS. He's a dentist, not a locksmith.
But the name on the key isn't Edward Marius. It's Ludwig
I know,
Marius.
that's so. The name's so unusual. They must be relatives. Annie, that signet ring. Some people put their first initial on jewelry instead of their last, and Edward begins with an E.
Well, so does Emily and Ethel and Ermintrude.
I know. All right, anyway, let's take this key to Logan instead of phoning him. He'll get a code expert in who will give us the lowdown.
Okay.
All right, come on. I'll open the door.
Oh, thanks. Oh.
Excuse me, lady. I was just about to go in when this gentleman decided to let you and himself out.
There's nobody in the photography department now, mister. The guys are all out on assignment.
Now I can see the place is empty. Which saves me trouble, Casey.
He's got a gun.
What is this?
Step back into that empty room, both of you, and quick.
Go on, Annie.
Yeah, okay.
Now, give me the key.
What key?
The key I've been hearing you talk about from the outside this door. Hand it over.
No.
Yes.
You hit him. Look out.
That's been done. Now you sit. And just to make sure you stay quiet, I'd put you both out for keeps if it wasn't too dangerous here. Thanks for the key, fella. So long.
All I can tell you about the guy, Logan, is that he was big as an ox.
Yeah, and he was dark and swarthy.
Well, you can identify his picture if it's in our criminal files, can't you?
I doubt
Yeah,
it.
so do I. His hat was pulled down over his eyes, and his overcoat collar was turned up.
Well, I can tell you this about him, though. He throws a punch like a mule throws a kick. I'm still groggy.
Yeah, I don't feel so good either.
You're both lucky you got off as easy as you did. Have you looked in a mirror since you came to and phoned for me, Casey?
Yeah. There's a cut on my jaw that looks like an E.
Yeah. Before this muscle man finished with Shapiro, he obviously made him tell that the key had been given to you.
Sure. So he hung around outside the office here until he saw me come in. Then he listened at the door. It was all set when Ann and I started out.
Was he set?
Say, Casey, go over your theory of this key business again. I want it straight.
Well, now we know that the key connects everything that's happened. Armstrong must have known this guy with the E ring wanted it. Was after it. He must have been so close that Armstrong had to act fast. He saw a baby on the street sitting in a carriage playing with a piggy bank, so he stopped and admired the kid, dropped the key in the bank. All the time he was conning the mother into telling him her name and where she lived.
He meant to get back the key after he shook the E-ring guy, but he couldn't shake him, and E-ring put the pressure on him under that pier until he spilled the works.
That's it. E-ring goes to Shapiro's after he kills Armstrong. Gets the piggy bank, finds the key isn't inside, then goes back to Shapiro's and tortures Bill into telling him that I have it.
You and Miss Williams say you can't remember all the die stamping you found on that key.
Only the name, Ludwig Marius.
And both Casey and I think that the number started with 121, but we can't recall the rest.
Wait a minute. Now that my so-called brain is clearing a bit, I think that name is the gimmick of this thing, Logan.
Yeah?
And I don't think it's a code, because Armstrong could never remember a code. The figures and letters stamped on it mean just what they say.
Well, then, what we do remember is no help. There's no Ludwig Marius listed, only Edward Marius.
My hunch says that he's the works, Logan. I want to meet that guy. And he's not going to slip any more fast punches over when I do.
Casey will play your hunch. Let's call on Edward Marius.
The maid said you people wish to see me. I'm Edward Marius.
You?
This isn't the guy who socked me, Logan.
Oh, that man was twice his size.
Pardon me, but I don't understand.
Well, Mr. Marius, I'm Captain Logan of the police.
Police?
This is Miss Williams and Mr. Casey of the Morning Express.
I'm happy to meet you, but I have no business with the newspapers or the police. I'm merely a practicing dentist.
Mr. Marius, you're the only person of your name listed in the phone book or the city directory. And
I'm the only Marius in this city that I know of.
Have you ever heard of a Ludwig Marius?
Heard of him? Ludwig Marius was my father.
Your father?
He died 10 years ago.
Oh, he died?
Yes.
Will you tell us something about your father, Mr. Marius?
Well, what, for instance?
What he did, who he worked for, his association?
He worked for humanity. He was a clergyman.
A clergyman?
Yes. My father was minister of the Hillside Church around the corner. Anyone in the neighborhood can tell you about his associations. Gentlemen, I'm proud to be able to say that my father, Ludwig Marius, was the most loved member of this community.
Oh.
What is this all about, please?
Casey, you answer that.
I guess we might as well be going, Logan. Wait. Your father died 10 years ago, Mr. Marius?
Yes.
Logan, didn't Manny Armstrong live in this neighborhood just before his arrest?
Yeah, on Burnham Street, about 6 blocks from here.
Mr. Marius, did your father die on January 21st?
Why, yes. January 21st, 1938.
That's it.
What's it?
Where was he buried, Mr. Marius?
Why, in Beechwood Cemetery. In our family plot.
Thanks. I think I've got it now.
You've got what?
Sure I have, Annie. And Mr. Marius has helped me remember all the numbers stamped on that key. I said he'd be the works of this
Hey,
thing.
will you tell us?
Sure. We're going to Beechwood Cemetery from here. And watch.
Casey, someone's coming.
I see, Logan.
A man among those tombstones. He looks like a ghost.
Ghosts don't carry a pick and shovel, Annie. I don't think.
Casey, he's a big man.
Bet he is. He's the guy who socked us. I won't forget him. That's your Mr. E-ring.
Are you sure?
I am. That's the overcoat he had on, and the hat.
Well, if you're both positive in your identification, I'll step out from behind this monument right
Oh,
now.
no, you won't, pal. This is my party.
Casey, come back here. He's twice as big as you are.
Yeah, but I'm twice as mad.
We'll join the crowd at the Blue Note in just a moment. You know, one of the most heartwarming salutations in the world is the phrase, have a cup of coffee. But how often comes the polite, hesitant response, oh, don't go to all that trouble? Well, you know, now you can truthfully say, why, it's no trouble at all. It'll only take a moment. For that's all the time it takes to make a delicious, steaming cup of coffee when you use the amazing new discovery, soluble coffee. Now, you put a spoonful of this new kind of coffee in a cup, add hot water, and there you are. That's all there is to it. Now, that's simple, isn't it? And if you haven't tried any of the perfected time-saving instant coffees now on the market, buy a jar tomorrow and give your family and friends a treat. Soluble coffee is particularly welcome at breakfast when time is at a premium. 2/3 of the soluble coffees now on the market are packed in sanitary Anchor glass jars and protected by Anchor caps. These Anchor glass jars and Anchor caps protect soluble coffee perfectly against harmful moisture. They're easy to open, easy to measure from, and easy to reseal. Anchor glass jars and Anchor caps are both products of Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass.
Oh, Ethelbert. I sure was proud of him.
Yeah, but look at his face, Miss Williams. All those E's.
Well, at least he tried. It's a good thing Captain Logan was there.
You say them plates for making counterfeit $5 and $10 bills was really in that preacher's coffin, Casey?
Yep. That's where they were, Ethelbert.
Mr. Ludwig Marius died at just the time the Treasury agents were about to close in on Manny Armstrong. So he made an apparently innocent visit to the Marius home where the minister was lying in his coffin.
And while nobody was paying any attention, he shoved the plates under the body.
Oh, then he had that key made so he wouldn't forget where he'd put them.
Oh, no, not that. No. He made the key himself in prison about 5 years later when he realized he was beginning to lose his memory.
And he passed it to his lawyer for safekeeping without giving the lawyer any hint that it was more than an ordinary key.
The lawyer told you this?
No. We got the dope from Mr. E-ring. His real name is Ellis Eno. Eno was a convict in Lewisburg prison at the same time as Armstrong.
And the old counterfeiter was delirious for a while, and he spilled the story of the key to Eno, but he couldn't remember the name stamped on it or the number.
What was the meaning of that number?
But it was the date of Marius's death. 1/21/38, which translates pretty easily as January 21st, 1938.
I see.
I thought you would. Well, Eno got out of the pen before the old man did and waited. Armstrong saw Eno tailing him, and after he got the key from his lawyer, suspected why he was being tailed, dropped the key in a little Julius Shapiro's toy bank, and you know the rest.
You know, best of all, Bill Shapiro is going to get the reward. for finding those plates.
Casey, will you and Miss Williams have a cup of coffee on the house?
Coffee?
Yeah, I'll have Walter get it for you.
No, thanks, pal.
No coffee for us.
Oh, we're going home.
And get some sleep.
Yeah, nothing's going to stop us this time either.
Oh, excuse me, there's the bar.
Annie. Hey, that must be Bert with another assignment. Come on, let's get out of here.
I'm with you, Casey. Run.
Blue Note Cafe, Ethelbert speaking. No, sir, they have went. Huh? Oh, I see. You just wanted to tell them that their pictures are in the February issue of Movie Star Parade magazine. Gee, swell. I'll tell them. Goodbye.
Crime Photographer, starring Staats Cotsworth as Casey, is brought to you each Thursday by the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, makers of Fire King Oven Glass, Anchor Glass Containers, Anchor Caps and Closures. All products of Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass. Crime Photographer is directed by John Dietz and is based on the fictional character of Flash Gun Casey created by George Harmon Cox. Original music is by Archie Blyer, and the program features Miss Jan Miner as Anne and John Gibson as Ethelbert. Herman Chittison is the Blue Note pianist. This is Tony Marvin saying goodnight for the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, with offices in all principal cities of the United States and Canada. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
And yes, that Jan Miner is the same one that played Madge, the manicurist in the old Palmolive dishwashing detergent commercials. From 76 years ago, January 29th, 1948, Casey, Crime Photographer, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. On tomorrow's show, Inner Sanctum Mysteries, This Is Your FBI, Barry Craig Confidential Investigator, The Shadow, Dark Fantasy, and even scarier than all of those, Lum and Abner. Coming up next here on this Monday edition of Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, an episode of Gangbusters.
This is Debbie Reynolds. If you've been wondering what you can do to fight communism personally from your own home, there is something you can do. Support Radio Free Europe, the station built and financed by the contributions of the American public to the crusade for freedom. Radio Free Europe is one Cold War operation the communists fear and attack constantly. Support Radio Free Europe. Send your truth dollars to Crusade for Freedom, care of your local postmaster.
A reminder to visit our webpage, classicradio.stream, for more information and ways to support this podcast. Now, to 75 years ago, January 29th, 1949, Gangbusters and the Case of the Counterfeit Combine.
Counterfeit Combine, which printed more than $500,000 in bogus bills, until an alert farmer and a hot turkey helped hard-working Secret Service agents close the case.
Gangbusters presents as narrator by proxy of tonight's case, the Honorable U.E. Bauman, Chief of the United States Secret Service Treasury Department.
Thank you. And good evening, Gangbusters listeners. Our case tonight begins last spring in the city of Chicago. It was early in the evening in an apartment house near Douglas Park when a slightly built man, carrying what was obviously a box of flowers, rounded up 2 steps at a time toward the door of a second-floor apartment.
Andy.
Gus. Hiya.
Oh, where you been, Andy? 2 hours I've been sitting there cooling my heels waiting for you.
Hey, Pearl here?
Well, who do you think let me in? She's fine company. Where you taking her tonight? Her hair, her nails, her works. When are you celebrating? Pearl! What do you got there, flowers? I thought only college boys brought flowers.
Hey, Andy, relax. I'm here. I'm just getting ready for the big night out.
Yeah, okay, Pearl. I got some flowers for you.
That's nice.
You see, you got all the trouble to bring violets?
They're orchids.
Okay, orchids. What's it get you? That's nice. Bang.
Well, she's getting dressed.
Now listen, Andy. We've been associating business a long time. That Pearl don't care no more for you than that. She's out after what she can get.
Gus, I don't want no discussion of this again.
As soon as something better comes along with more dough, she'll drop you head first. She's a social client.
I don't want to hear nothing else about it.
Okay, you bought your shoes, walk in them. Anyway, I came here for a conference.
About what?
Here. Get rid of these.
Oh, listen, Gus, I still ain't unloaded half of the lads.
That's the trouble. The boss says you ain't producing.
Who ain't producing? I'm out breaking my back every day.
Listen, you got the best go of all the guys. There ain't one of the boys wouldn't grab your territory in a minute, Andy. You got the best counterfeit since Lusty.
The counterfeit may be okay, Gus, but do you know how far I got to ride between farmhouses? How many turkeys can I buy, and how many farmers got change in the house for a 20 or a 10?
Listen, Andy, them's your problems. The boss says produce or you lose your franchise.
I want to talk to the boss.
Now, don't you know better than that, Andy?
I want to get this thing straightened out.
Look. You got a good deal.
Yeah.
If you get nailed, you don't know the boss, or they can't touch him. If he gets nailed, vice versa. So you're better off.
I'll tell him I'm getting tired of working the farmers. Tell him I want to work bars or someplace.
Listen, we got plenty of guys working the bars. We got too many. Now, you got a good thing, Andy. Now, just produce. Well, you and Pearl have a good time tonight.
Yeah.
But tomorrow, get to work.
Get to work.
Pearl?
Well?
Oh, what?
You tell him you want to meet the boss?
Yeah, I told him.
How you like the hair this way? Check, huh?
Yeah.
What'd he say? Look around my neck there, see if I missed any hairs putting it up.
No, you didn't miss none, honey.
Well, what'd he say?
Oh, the same old story. I'll be better off if I don't meet the boss.
How do you expect to get ahead in this world if you don't know who you're working for?
Tell you the truth, Pearl, I don't care.
Well, I do.
Why?
Because I want to see you get ahead. You'll never get ahead dealing through Gus. You got to go to somebody higher up, get a better deal. Gus can't give it to you. Listen, that counterfeit costs you 15 cents on the dollar. Right or wrong?
Oh, it's good stuff, honey. Best I ever seen.
And you got to go out and buy chickens and eggs and turkeys with it to get change in the hard stuff. Right or wrong?
Well, that's my territory, baby. The farmers.
Okay, you take $10 in counterfeit. Costs you $1.50. You invest a couple of bucks more in eggs or something you got to throw away, plus gas and oil. How much do you make out of the deal?
Well, it ain't so terrible, Pearl. We live so bad.
And supposing some guy you buy a turkey from, instead of a farmer, he's a Secret Service agent. Then you really bought yourself a turkey.
Well, in this business, you got to take risks. That's the nature of it.
Button me up the back, will you?
Yeah, baby, sure. Oh, they ought to make these things with zippers.
Now, next time you see Gus, you put it on the line about where you stand. If you don't tell him, I will.
Okay, Pearl, I'll tell him.
Didn't you say you bought me some flowers?
Oh, yeah, I'll get them.
No, never mind yet. Just finish the buttoning.
Okay.
Now, I want you to act like a gentleman when we get to the Tally-Ho Club, because that's a
Who
very...
said we're going to the Tally-Ho?
I did.
Well, they soak you an arm and a leg there.
That's where I want to go, to the Tally-Ho.
To Chief, Secret Service, Treasury, Washington. From Supervising Agent, Chicago District. Counterfeit $10 and $20 Federal Reserve notes in circulation, Chicago area, increasing daily. Counterfeit appearing so many different places, unquestionably work of dozens of passes, and indicating well-organized operation. Investigation so far, fruitless. Suggest temporary assignment, this district, as many agents as can be spared. Signed, Easton.
Hello, boss.
Well, Gus, you're up early this morning.
Yeah, I got a big day ahead of me.
What's the matter? You got troubles?
No, not exactly troubles, but few of them shovers ain't moving the queer as fast as they could.
That's your job, Gus, to make them move it fast. But sooner or later, they're going to grab one of these shovers.
I don't see how they can miss.
And when they do, that's when you and I will have to pull up stakes.
Anything you say, boss. Well, I'll see you later.
Now, just a minute.
What?
This chap that you have working the farmers, this Andy, what's his name?
Oh, Trojek, Andy Trojek.
Yes, find out if he was at the Tally-Ho Club last night.
I don't know whether he went there, but he was going out someplace. Why?
Does he have a girl? Blonde?
Yeah, Pearl. Hey, how'd you recognize Andy? You never met him.
You pointed him out to me once.
Oh, yeah.
That blonde is quite a dish.
She ain't bad.
Andy works the farmers, huh?
Yeah.
All right, you tell Andy the Secret Service is getting pretty close to him around where he's working.
Are they?
Tell him he ought to take a trip. Southern Indiana. He should do all right down there. He can take all the time he wants. A couple of weeks.
Hey, what is it?
Just tell him to take the trip. Work down there. And then, about Pearl. Bring her around to meet me. I think she'd be nice company.
Trips I gotta take. Trips.
So for how long is it?
That's for long enough, Gus.
Oh.
What's Pearl gonna do without me? She don't like it none, you know.
Pearl? Well, she'll be all right.
Yeah, maybe. Will I be all right? Pearl!
Now, listen, Andy, the boss says...
I'm getting good and sick of what the boss says.
What?
Ready to leave, baby.
Yeah, he's ready.
Well, don't forget to change your socks.
That's all you gotta say to me? Don't forget to change your socks.
Watch out for the cops.
Oh, baby, come here.
Andy.
Honey.
In front of people.
I'm not people. Now, go on, grab your bag, Andy. Come on, get going.
Yeah. Well, I'll write to you, baby.
Yeah, write to me. Well, Gus, sure shipped him off in a hurry, didn't you?
Well, you know how it is, Pearl. Things are getting hard around here. We gotta make the best of a good thing.
Yeah? The boss told you?
Sure, he told me.
Well, you got rid of Andy. What's on your mind? As if I didn't have any idea.
Well, there's nothing on my mind, Pearl.
Look, Gus, let's get something straight. Don't make a play for me. I don't go for your type.
Who was going to make a play for you? I was just going to ask you out to have dinner out, that's all.
That ain't a play?
Well, now, listen, I got my own girl. Just thought maybe you'd like to meet a friend of mine.
Who's your friend? Boss?
Just a friend. You want to go or don't you?
No.
Well, what are you going to do sitting around here?
Is he good looking?
Well, he ain't bad looking. He's got dough. Got plenty.
Okay, Gus. You're right. What am I going to do sitting around here?
I'll pick you up at 8 o'clock.
Well, gangbusters listeners, you can see that complications were developing within this smooth gang of counterfeiters. And agents of the United States Secret Service are the first to take advantage of such complications.
And now back to Gangbusters. And here again by proxy is tonight's narrator, the Honorable U.E. Bauman, Chief of the United States Secret Service.
As I was telling you, agents of the United States Secret Service, Treasury Department, were troubled by a gang of well-organized counterfeiters in the Chicago area. In the Chicago office of the Secret Service, Supervising Agent Jack Easton and Agent Al Manners were talking over their problems.
And if that's not enough, Al, Washington says they'll send me every agent that can be spared from every district in the country.
Well, these extra men ought to help some, Mr. Easton, but that counterfeit's just a little too good. Just a little too good.
We'll get them, Al.
Yeah, I know we'll get them, Mr. Easton, but in the meantime, there's a lot of merchants who are getting nicked.
Yes, and farmers. Don't forget the farmers.
How can I forget the farmers?
You know, when those extra men get in here, I think we'll start concentrating on the farmer angle.
That's a lot of territory to cover.
I know, but I come from a farm family myself. If there's one thing a farmer does, that's read his mail. Now, we've got to get ourselves up a nice bulletin to send out.
We've got to tell the farmers to watch out for strangers using 10s and 20s to buy chickens, eggs, turkeys, and so forth. We've got to tell them how to detect this counterfeit and what to do when they see it.
Yeah, maybe that's the angle.
And we'll have men stationed all over Illinois and Indiana. They can follow up any leads the farmers give us, and fast. What do you think, Al?
It's as good as anything.
Okay. Start plans to get this warning notice rolling. And map out the locations where you're going to station the men.
What you drag me into, Gus?
You'll have a good time, Pearl, believe me.
Supposed to go out to dinner with a high-class friend of yours, and where did we wind up? Joint with a jukebox.
Oh, there he is. Come on.
Him?
Yeah. Excuse me?
Hey.
Me, please.
That's nice. Dignified kind of.
Didn't I tell you? Well, I'm sorry we're a little late, Ralph. We got caught in traffic.
That's all right. Pearl?
Ralph. Ralph Pearl.
Pleased to meet you.
Good. Why don't we sit down?
Thank you.
Gus?
Well, I think I'd better go get my girl, Ralph. You don't mind, huh?
I don't mind.
Neither do I.
Yeah. Well, meet you later.
Now, what'll you have to drink, Pearl?
Whiskey? Soda on the side. What?
Waiter. Whiskey, soda on the side.
Right.
Well, now that that's settled, would you like to straighten me out on something, Ralph?
Of course. Anything.
Just how did all this come about? You and me and everything.
Well, it's really very simple. Gus is a good friend of mine. He's been describing a certain gorgeous blonde to me, and I said I'd like to meet her.
So, here we are.
Not sorry?
No, not me. I'm the last person in the world to get sorry. By the way, what line of work are you in? I always like to know what my gentleman friends do.
You're not really interested, are you?
Okay, if you're ashamed of it.
There's nothing to be ashamed of. I'm, a bookie.
A bookie?
I take bets on racehorses.
I know what a bookie does. Where's that waiter with my drink?
He'll be here. I'm sorry to bring you to this place, but it was most convenient for Gus. We'll have dinner downtown someplace.
Gus didn't go to get his girl, did he?
He said that's where he was going.
He won't meet us later, will he?
Mind?
Mind? Tickled to death?
You want to know something? I think we're going to get along fine.
I'll go you one better. I think we're going to get along great.
Good, good.
We just got another wire, Mr. Easton.
Oh?
Some more of the counterfeit showed up down in Sullivan County, southern Indiana.
Who have you got working there, Al?
Miller.
Mm-hmm. Well, looks like somebody is trying to make the best of a good thing down there. Look, why don't you take a run down to Sullivan and work along with Miller?
Okay.
And you better get going right away, before the shover moves on.
I've got my car right over in the lot. I'll be on my way in 15 minutes.
Let her ring, baby.
I really ought to answer, Ralph.
Why?
I wonder all night who it was. Excuse me. Hello?
Hello, is that all you got to say to me? How are you? Where you been for 3 nights? I'm burning up the wires trying to get you.
Andy, where are you?
In Sullivan, Indiana, honey. I've been working the countryside around here. Oh, I'm making a mint. You miss me, sweetheart?
Of course.
I'll be home Sunday.
Well, if you're doing so well, Andy, why don't you stay out?
Well, I want to see you, baby. I want to talk to you. I'll call you again tomorrow night.
You'll be here Sunday.
Yeah, but I...
Look, Andy, I haven't eaten any dinner. I got my hat and coat on. I just got to go out and eat. I'm starved.
Pearl, what are you giving me? What kind of brush is this?
Call me tomorrow, huh? Bye, Andy. Huh?
Don't look so disgusted.
Now you see what I got to put up with.
You can handle him, can't you?
I don't know, Ralph. I may need a little help.
What do you mean?
I mean, now's the time for us to put our cards on the table. Okay?
All right.
I presume you are interested in me, more or less.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt about that. You want me to do something about Andy?
Well, you are his boss, aren't you?
Pearl, you won't have any trouble with Andy. First, you'll move where he can't find you. And second, if he becomes too insistent, Gus will have a little talk with him.
7, 8, 9, 10, 10, 20. Here's change, mister.
Thanks. How do you keep one of these turkeys quiet?
Well, you bought him from me. That's your problem now.
Yeah. Well, I'll manage.
Hey, it's a funny thing, mister. Just the other day, I got notice from the United States Secret Service in the mail. Hey, wait a minute. Where? Hazel! Hazel! Where's that circular from the Secret Service? Hazel!
Hello?
Pearl, baby.
Oh, hello, Andy.
Oh, sweetheart, I didn't sleep all night. You were kind of short with me on the phone. What's the matter? Weren't you feeling good? You lonely?
I'm all right. Look, where are you? You still in Indiana?
Yeah, Sullivan in a booth in a drugstore. Listen, honey, I don't like this traveling at all.
You don't, huh?
No, when I get back Sunday, I'm going to tell Gus to give it to the boss straight.
Well, let me tell you something. I've been asking you for months to find out who the boss is. I know him.
You do?
You bet I do, and we're the best of friends.
Pearl.
The very best of friends, and you might as well stay in Sullivan, because if you come in Sunday, you'll find me going and packing right now. Goodbye.
Pearl! Pearl! The boss. The best of friends.
All right, mister.
Hey.
Secret Service.
What do you want with me?
Just a few words and a little of your time. Is that your car parked outside the Chevy?
I don't have a car.
We'll see about that. That car was used by a man answering your description to shove a few counterfeit bills in farmers. One of them got your license number. See what you're carrying.
Stay out of my pockets. You got no right. Okay, you nailed me.
Sure. A stack of counterfeit 20s in your pocket, and then you make an admission. Now go on. Walk out of here. You're going back to Chicago. It's got me worried, Mr. Easton. I don't too much like the idea of trusting that Andy, even if he is sore about the girl.
If he made a break, you wouldn't get very far. We've got every door covered.
That's not what I mean. I mean, what's he telling Gus over there? What we told him to, or is he telling him this place is loaded with Secret Service agents?
That's a chance we have to take, Al. We've got nothing on anybody except Andy. He says this Gus is the contact man, and Gus can lead us to the boss.
I don't like doing business this way.
And I don't think Andy will pull any fast one. He's too burned up about the boss stepping in and taking over his girl.
Well, maybe... Uh-oh. Gus is getting up.
Yeah.
There he goes out the door.
Okay, Al. Get behind Gus and stay there.
Yeah. I'll phone you later. Keep your fingers crossed.
On both hands, Al. On both hands.
Okay, Mr. Easton. Done your job for you.
Sit down, Andy.
Thanks.
Did you tell Gus you wanted some more counterfeit?
Yeah, I told him.
What did he say?
Said he'd get it for me.
What about Pearl? Did you ask Gus if he knew where she was?
Yeah. Said he had no idea. Look, Mr. Easton, when you get him, don't let me near her or this boss, whoever he is. I'll tear him apart.
You don't have to worry about that. We'll keep you plenty separated. Okay, let's get going. I think it's safe enough now. Supervising Agent Easton.
This is Al.
Were you able to stay behind Gus?
You bet. All the way. He went to an apartment house on Ithaca, 6722, and he went upstairs to the third floor to an apartment occupied by one Ralph Walters. And he's still up there.
Ralph Walters?
Yeah. I checked on him with the janitor. Walters owns an offset print shop downtown.
Print shop, huh? That could be our man.
Could be. I'd swear to it.
All right, Al. I'll round up the boys and we'll be right over. I want to have a talk with this Mr. Ralph Walters.
And now back to Gangbusters.
And then Andy tells me, boss, he tells me, Gus, if you run into Pearl any place, tell her I gotta see her.
Fine chance he's got. Is
Well, Pearl, you want to go back to Andy?
that a joke?
Hey, how about another drink? What's the matter? You got prohibition back around here or something?
I'll fix it.
All right, baby.
How about you, honey? The same?
Yes, the same.
Okay.
Great girl, Gus.
Yeah. Only just watch out, boss. She don't do the same thing to you she did to Andy.
I'm not worried.
Well, there are guys around with more money than you got, you know.
Gus, you're a pretty smart boy.
Yeah?
You've been sticking your neck out long enough. You work on the inside from now on. We'll get somebody else to contract the shovers.
Well, a promotion. Thanks, boss.
We've got the best set of plates ever. We can go on for years, never get touched. We can... Pearl.
Maybe she got her head caught in the icebox.
Pearl.
Okay, I'll be in there.
Guess she didn't.
Well, hurry up, Pearl.
Uh-oh.
That's it, boys. Be smart. Don't make a move.
They knocked on the kitchen door. They said it was the janitor.
We're Secret Service agents.
Now listen here.
Quiet for a while. We want to do a little talking first. When we get finished, you can gab all you want. We'll be all ears.
Well, gangbusters listeners, before that night was over, agents of the Secret Service had recovered hundreds of thousands of dollars in bogus money and the plates from which it was printed. The names of a dozen or so passers of counterfeit were also known to them. The general roundup began. Members of this gang are now serving terms ranging from 4 to 14 years in various federal penitentiaries.
Well, thank you, Chief U.E. Bauman, for this insight into the work of the United States Secret Service Treasury Department. Now, you've told me that there are still thousands of bogus $10 and $20 bills in circulation. So, in place of our regular clue tonight, here is a detailed description of these bills. Anyone who handles money should take a pad and pencil and write down this information.
Attention, all citizens, retail merchants, and cashiers in particular. To save yourself money, be on the alert for counterfeit $10 and $20 bills on the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago. Letter G, G as in George, in a seal on the face of the bill, left side.
If you have such a $10 bill, check the portrait of Alexander Hamilton. On the counterfeit, the hairline has an unnaturally white appearance. If you have a $20 bill with letter G in the seal, look for one of these numbers on the face of the bill in the lower right-hand corner. G110, H110, I110, J110, K108, or L108. For further details, consult your bank or the nearest office of the United States Secret Service.
Warning. When you accept counterfeit money, you are the loser. These counterfeit $10 and $20 notes on the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago are very deceptive and are expertly reproduced. The silk threads found in the paper of genuine bills are simulated by red ink marks or cannot be found at all. If in doubt, carefully compare a suspected note with a genuine one, or telephone police or the U.S. Secret Service.
If you are given one of these counterfeit $10 or $20 notes, attempt to delay the party and notify your local police or the nearest office of the United States Secret Service at once. Tonight's case was dramatized by Stanley Nitz and directed by William Sweets, with Mandel Kramer and Elspeth Eric in leading roles. Jay Jackson speaking. Gangbusters is a Phillips H. Lord production.
75 years ago, January 29th, 1949, Gangbusters here on this Monday, Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Coming up next, Bob Bailey, Virginia Gregg, and an episode of Let George Do It.
Americans, stand up and be counted in the fight against communism. You, as a private citizen, can strike back at communism. Where? In Eastern Europe, where 80 million people still bravely resist communist brainwashing. How? Through Radio Free Europe. RFE's daily broadcasts reach these 80 millions, keeping alive their belief in the free world. Give to Radio Free Europe Fund, Box 1963, Mount Vernon, New York.
A reminder, tomorrow's Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox podcast on a Tuesday will be Inner Sanctum Mysteries. This is your FBI Barry Craig confidential investigator, The Shadow, Dark Fantasy, and Lum and Abner? Yeah, there you go. That's what's coming up on our next edition. Right now, though, Bob Bailey, Virginia Gregg, from 73 years ago, January 29th, 1951, Christmas in January.
Personal notice. Danger's my stock and trade. If the job's too tough for you to handle, you got a job for me, George Valentine. Write full details.
Standard Oil Company of California, on behalf of independent Chevron gas stations and Standard stations throughout the West, invites you to Let George Do It. Christmas in January, another adventure of George Valentine.
Looking for a picture, lady?
Oh, hello, buddy. Hey, how much is that one?
This one?
Yeah.
The oil painting in the building? It's a street in Paris.
Looks more like Oswego.
No, somewhere on the left bank, I presume. You see, the painter lived
never
in,
mind the travel notes, Jack. Just how much, huh?
Well, I'm afraid it's probably a good deal more than you could afford, sister.
Buddy, you see that big white convertible out there at the curb?
Huh?
Well, is it yours?
Oh, well, I didn't mean exactly
What do I
that.
gotta do? Wear tights? The name's Charity Dufresne. I'll buy you a seeing eye dog.
Oh, Mr. Frayne. Well,
Yeah.
Oh, I'm awfully sorry. Gosh, I've even got pin-ups of you myself. Holy smoke. I guess I've seen every one of your pictures 3 or 4 times.
Well,
I
then you should pay
didn't
more
know it.
attention to details, like my face. Now, come on, fan club. How much, huh?
Huh? Oh, the picture.
Yeah.
Well, look, if it's for your own house, I mean, you would... Who sent you to this place?
Don't flatter yourself. It's a junk shop. And don't worry, I won't tell anybody. I want to buy a gift, that's all.
Oh, I see. Well, if you're giving it to someone you like,
I know what kind of a picture it is. I'm giving it to somebody who should use it as a winding sheet, I hope.
Oh, yeah, I get it. Yeah, it's very appropriate. It's $250.
Here, Jesse James.
If you'll wait just a second, I'll wrap it up for you so nobody will notice.
I'll
the price.
wrap it myself, thank you. I brought my own stuff. This, buddy, is going to be something real special. You know who it's for? An octopus. You know what it's for him for? A Christmas present. Yeah, in January.
Yes, that's my dear Charity. As wholesome and appetizing as a tube of ant paste. Oh, but she adores me. Worship is the proper word, perhaps. She's like a yo-yo to which I hold the string.
Yeah, sure. But, look, she got out of the car, Mr. Wick, and walked into the shop.
My
Then-
dear Mr. Valentine, you will keep your eye on the doings of Miss Charity Dufresne. How about that, Miss Brooks? Did he just watch the doings, or did he let his eye wander to what's already been done by her beneficent creator?
Well, I was right there with him. She's very attractive, but
I'm trying to tell you what she did, Mr. Wick, if you'll just let me.
Would you like a drambuie, either one of you? The only drink worth drinking. Because, like a woman, a drink should be stimulating to the senses, but easy to see through. Jukes, where's that bottle of drambuie you brought to town from the hovel? My country place, Mr. Valentine.
Well, no thanks. Really, Mr. Wick.
How should I know, boss? I've been busy with the lights.
Look, Mr. Wick, I'm trying to give you a report.
Of course you are, my dear man. Of course you are. You heard her call me an octopus, you said. Isn't that wonderful, Duke?
Yeah, I guess so. You mean one of them things
Don't you
with
wish you had thought of it? Jukes is so prosaic when he calls me names. Used to be a mule skinner's apprentice, I believe.
I was a male nurse. I was studying to be a pharmacist.
Yes. Let's not bore the people, Jukes. Just run and fetch them a brandy.
My name is really Anthony.
Of course, dear boy, they understand. Mr. Valentine knows a Jukes when he sees one. Now, hop.
All right, boss. I'll see what I can find.
My companion, isn't he delightful? The jester, the court fool. And I'm tied to him like a millstone. I've been ill, you know, so my wife hired him to fetch and carry. And then when I was helpless and at his mercy night and day, she ran away. Makes a rather charming story, don't you think? I call it the Frau's Revenge.
Yeah. I didn't even know you were married, Mr. Wick.
Oh, miserably. Don't you ever read my column? Good heavens, man, let me inform you. It's the sort of rounded anecdote Walcott would have adored. She was my secretary, you see, in years past, until in my bestial fashion I decided I could save a good bit of expense if I married her and stopped her salary. However, fate in his hairy-handed way...
Never mind. I've heard enough vocabulary for one day. I'm a busy man, Mr. Wick. You don't want to check over my report? Okay, forget it. Goodbye.
I could recite your stupid report by heart, Mr. Valentine. I asked you to observe the suspicious actions of Miss Dufresne.
Look, she only bought a picture. I wouldn't have taken the job if I'd have known you just wanted me to snoop.
An original oil painting of a Paris building and street. Now tell me, there was a lamp in the background, wasn't there? And two children rolling a red hood.
Well, yeah, that's right.
Of course, I don't suppose you noticed the name, the artist's signature.
Well, it was kind of a funny painting. Didn't mean anything to me. Something like, Petrillo, that's all I read.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Mr. Valentine. Oh, my poor little yo-yo will be spinning so fast she won't know what hit her.
What on earth are you talking about, Mr. Wick?
It will all be in print, dear one. I never give away the end of a story before it's written. Tell me, do you think green lights will look well on a blue Christmas tree?
A what?
Mr. Valentine, you have your check. Goodbye. Out at the hovel tonight. It's Christmas, didn't you know? Yes, in January. Now get out of here. Run along. I'm a busy man.
Not so fast, Buster. Not so fast, please. What's the big joke in this picture deal? What kind of a stunt are you up to? You dragged me into being a party to something I know nothing about.
Curious. Life and death, Mr. Valentine. The death of pride. The world is a yo-yo, didn't you know, for a man like me? So read about it tomorrow in my obituary column.
Christmas in January, yo-yos, paintings. What kind of a loony character?
Oh, Trio, George, that's it. And he painted Paris streets and buildings.
Huh?
And you said she bought it for $250.
Yeah, that's right.
An original painting by O'Trio.
Huh?
Would you like to find out just what kind of a snide story Mr. Wick is getting ready to write? That I'm afraid we helped him to write?
Now, look, don't rub it in. What don't I know, besides everything?
Come on. We're going to a real art store, George.
Huh?
Because you want to bet the lead of his story will be all about Miss Charity Dufresne buying a fraudulent painting? Well, darling, a real O'Trio should sell for at least $15,000 or $20,000. And not just on Christmas.
$17,250.
Yeah, well, look, friend, we already know that. We found it in the catalog at one of the other places we went. But
There's lots of new interest in your trio right now, you know.
But that shop we told you about, it must sell fake paintings, isn't that right?
It must. It does. Copies and imitations. But it doesn't always bother to mark them as such, well, like the one you saw.
All right, but Brooksy, look. So the dame bought him a fake painting for a gift on a fake Christmas. She doesn't like him anyway.
On a fake what?
Oh, well, never mind. Enough people are confused already. But look, Angel, I don't understand why that should make the old goat so happy. How my telling him about it would give him any hold over her.
Mr. Valentine, I, too, am an ardent reader of Francis Xavier Wick, his column, his books.
Yeah?
He has a passion for what he calls the rounded anecdote, I believe.
Huh?
Well, I haven't the slightest idea what you're talking about, but mine is the gallery which owned the original of that Utrillo painting, you know, the real one.
Of course. That's why we came here out of curiosity to confirm that price of $17,000.
Yes, and you leave in greater curiosity, too, young lady. And I'll be worse off than you are, because I sold that real Utrillo for just that price and sent it out not 2 minutes before you walked in to a man who phoned, the old goat himself, to Francis Xavier Wick.
What?
He said he wanted it wrapped as a Christmas gift. He was going to present it to a woman named, Charity Dufresne.
Brooksy, we're out of order. Curiosity killed a cat.
Shh, George, that woman's coming back.
Mr. Valentine, Mr. Frayne seems to be busy right now. She's on the hall telephone, talking to an art dealer back in town.
Oh, yeah. Well, we only came out here to the hovel to find out...
Oh, you're quite welcome. There have been guests coming and going all evening. It's Christmas here, didn't you know?
How could we forget?
Yeah.
Mr. Wick was ill at the real Christmas time, but of course he can't celebrate it unless he can get out of bed, unless he can dress up as Santa Claus.
Oh, well, that explains part of
Yes,
why...
unless he can give presents and receive them in person. Wouldn't be Christmas without people, would it? Wouldn't be anything without people, would it? Around him all the time. His court, his fools, his... Oh, well, come in. Join the party. The great man has just served liqueurs. Perhaps you'd like some. Join me in a creme de menthe. Maybe you'd rather have hemlock.
Oh, wait a minute. Look here. We know we're prying. We only want to find...
You came out to warn Mr. Frayne that Mr. Wick... What he was up to, of course. Well, I'm sorry. She's already found out. She's crying with embarrassment, and she's at the telephone trying to buy the most expensive painting in the gallery for Mr. Wick.
Oh, it makes less and less sense.
You see all the paintings around here? Mr. Frayne has bought many of them. Real ones. Thousands and thousands of dollars of gifts to him in years past. So this year, she got caught trying to give him a pony, that's all. I'm not sorry for her.
I get it. She hates him. But why does she give him things at all? Hey, what's he do? Blackmail people?
Oh, blackmail. Mr. Valentine, he tortures people.
I say, have you seen him anywhere? He served the drinks and then went out for a minute, and I've got to be running back to... Oh.
Mr. Keller, of course I haven't seen him. I've been here for an hour myself. He hasn't even spoken to me.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Wick. I didn't know.
Hold it, please. You're Mrs. Wick?
Well, who did you think I was? A dear, dear friend like Mr. Keller here? Like Charity Dufresne? Mr. Valentine, do you know what this man gave my husband tonight? A Cadillac.
If you don't mind, Mrs. Wick.
Oh, yes, it embarrasses him. It embarrasses all of them. Well, come in here under the Christmas tree. If you can stand the hideous green light, I'll show you the biggest pile of loose...
Mrs. Wick, forget it, will you please?
Christmas
I'm not
in January. Christmas for Santa Claus. Diamond cigarette lighters, statues, paintings, money. And all from torture, Mr. Valentine. Just lying there. I saw him just lying there at the door to the bathroom. That hideous Santa Claus.
Be quiet, Mr. Frayne.
Lying on his face, the side of the door. Wick, Francis.
Here, I'll give you a hand.
If I could turn him over, he must have fainted.
Wait a minute. Yeah, we'd better move him. But if his pulse means anything, Santa Claus Wick is dead.
We'll return to tonight's adventure of George Valentine in just a moment. Did you know that 60% of all auto repairs can be avoided? Yes, 60%. When motorists follow one simple rule. Bring in your car for chassis lubrication every 1,000 miles. When you get a chassis lubrication for your car at your standard station or independent Chevron gas station at regular intervals, you're money ahead. These men service more than 50 different wear spots that can cause trouble when neglected, and they take the time to do it right. It's a car-saver service that assures longer car life and a smoother, cushioned ride free of squeaks and rattles. And note this, if your car has an automatic transmission, you'll get the correct factory-approved fluid for lubricating this precision-made unit. So avoid repair bills. Keep your car young. Every 1,000 miles, get chassis lubrication service at an independent Chevron gas station or a standard station, where they say and mean, we take better care of your car. back to tonight's adventure of George Valentine. Francis Xavier Wick, the columnist, the gossip, the collector of rounded anecdotes. The man who this year was celebrating Christmas in January. And why? Apparently because he likes to collect presents, too. He wouldn't miss Christmas for anything. Well, if your name is George Valentine, you wouldn't either. Yes, by now you've learned enough about the man in the Santa Claus suit to know that his vast collection of friends and retainers are not exactly loyal to him. In fact, one of them has just murdered him.
Murder, George?
Well, there's no blood, Angel.
No marks on the back of his head under the cap.
Don't touch him, Mr. Keller. I'll do that.
Whatever you say. It wouldn't be surprising if he were murdered, I suppose. People all around him, always with him, and yet easily the most disliked man in the world.
You should know, Mr. Keller. I understand you gave him a car tonight as a gift.
I'd rather not incriminate myself, if you don't mind.
Well, I don't like to disturb the mask and whiskers, but...
George!
Yeah. His face. It's not Mr. Wick at all.
It's the court jester, the fool.
It's Jukes who's been murdered. Poisoned. Look at his face. But where is Francis Xavier Wick?
But I saw Wick, I tell you, before he put on that ridiculous costume. Or rather, he had just part of it on.
When was that?
Half an hour earlier, I suppose. I don't know. It was before Mr. Frayne got here.
What about the other guests? The people who brought all those other presents?
They'd gone. They'd already left.
Just who are you, Mr. Keller? What are you doing here?
What? Good heavens, man. I'm a banker, but that doesn't have anything to do with it.
For some reason, you give huge gifts every Christmas to Mr. Wick. Just like Mr. Frayne, like the others.
Well, stop harping on it. It's a fact, that's all. I'm certainly not going to explain it. Why should I? I didn't try to kill the man.
Well, somebody who was left in the house must have.
All right. But it's Jukes who's dead, not Wick.
And you can't even tell me when they changed parts, when Jukes started playing Santa Claus?
No, what of it? Charity Dufresne told you where we all were, and I'll confirm it.
Mr. Valentine!
Yeah, right here, Mrs. Wick.
The little summer house, the studio, out where he does his
All right,
writing.
come on, I'll get your breath. What's the matter?
I found him.
You what?
My husband. He's unconscious.
Oh, leave me alone. I'm fine, I tell you. I'm fine. I'm fit as a grave digger's shovel. Twisted my ankle when I fell, that's
Here,
all.
sit down.
Now, stop pawing at me, Janet. You're my wife, not my secretary.
All right, stop talking, you two. The side door out there's open, and there's blood on the floor where you were.
Blood is from my head. Very high quality. I fell because I was struck, and I was struck because the worm turned. That's why.
The worm?
Miss Brooks, all my life I've pampered myself by having a retainer. Someone night and day, like Janet here.
Francis, please.
I've never been a well man, and besides it amuses me to watch lackeys work.
Buster, why don't you...
It was Jukes who hit me, you cretin. Who else would it be?
Oh, yeah, Jukes. Go on.
I was wearing a Santa Claus suit, as I recall. Where is it? On him, you say. He called me out here to the studio. He knocked me out. A child could deduce that he took my suit. Now you wake me up saying he's dead. Well. So be it. Oh, wretched, rash, intruding fool, farewell. Thou wert taken for thy better. Well, don't stare at me. I'm disappointed in him, that's all. But we shouldn't judge the worm just because he turned. The temptation was just too great, I suppose. There's over $100,000 worth of gifts in there under that Christmas tree, and a brand new car outside to make a getaway in. Can you blame him for wanting to step into my shoes?
Okay, Mr. Wick. 2 and 2 is 4. He knocked you out intending to take your place so he could collect the last couple of gifts and get by the servants on his way out.
Only who poured those drinks, George?
I didn't, I assure you.
Jukes did. It must have been he. That's when I came into the house, and I was so upset because he wouldn't even speak to me. I thought it was you, Francis. He passed around drinks and wouldn't even speak to me.
And I suppose you wept copious tears into your usual creme de menthe.
Well, it's logical he would have served drinks to cover not talking.
And they were left standing. I remember that, too. He left them for quite a time to open a present. Anyone could have touched them.
Well, what's the matter with you?
I was thinking what a beautiful story it will all make, particularly the ending.
Well, laugh out of the other side of your face, Buster. Somebody wanted to kill you and didn't succeed.
Exactly what I mean. That's the most fascinating part. Read my column tomorrow, young man.
Oh, I'll give you something to read. You too, Mrs. Wick. There were only 3 people who could have tampered with a drink. You, Mr. Keller, and Charity Dufresne.
They both hate Francis. I'm sure either
And
one
Keller
of them...
and Charity both agree they were together all that time.
Oh, George.
Yeah, that's right. You heard me. They gave each other alibis.
Listen, that must be the police car coming. I'd better get over to the main house to...
Janet!
George,
Janet.
grab her.
Why? Police will be here in a second. She won't go far.
Oh, what on
Besides,
earth?
I want to straighten this guy before they come.
Oh, you mean you're going to carry me back to the house? Good. I don't want to miss any fun, and my ankle won't
$100,000 worth of gifts from people who hate you. But it isn't blackmail because you give them gifts, too. And you make them play a farce like this Christmas in January.
Mr. Valentine, I'm so pleased that you figured me out. People are contemptible. I despise them.
Oh, yeah, famous people, rich people. You like to watch them suffer.
I know where their bodies are buried. Keller, Charity, all of them. Blackmail? No. I've never threatened anything. We just exchange gifts. And the most contemptible and amusing thing about people is their willingness to believe that I ever would write what I know about them. They're afraid. They never know. And so they really are blackmailing themselves.
I think you must be the most horrible man who ever lived.
Skip it, Brooksy. Come on. He's cleared it up. Let's go.
Oh, Mr. Valentine.
So long, Wick.
No, Valentine, wait. You're not going to leave me.
Why not? Oh. Because somebody still wants to kill you?
What?
Well, that doesn't bother you, does it? You were laughing about it a minute ago.
Ridiculous, of course not. But now, see here, with this ankle...
You're comfortable. Just relax. Police will get around to you later on.
No,
Maybe.
Valentine, no, you don't.
See you in the morning. Read my column for the last chapter. Well, Brooksy, this is one case that I don't particularly care if I ever...
What's the matter, George?
I don't know, listen.
Just the police car in the driveway, that's all.
Oh, I'm way, way wrong. That guy's quicker than I am.
What?
What in the name? Here.
George, there's somebody.
Oh, no. All right, Mrs. Wick.
George, look out. She's got a gun.
Drop that thing, lady. Drop. That's better.
Leave me alone. You get out of my way.
Going back out there to that studio with a gun, huh?
He can't do things like that to people. He can't treat them.
What? You mean he can't treat you like that?
I don't care about me. I just...
Look at her eyes.
Mrs. Wick, listen to me. You're going out there because you think he killed Jukes, isn't that right? You don't know how he could have done it, but somehow you think he must be responsible.
You said yourself the other two had alibis.
And if you knew that you didn't do it, then you assume that he has to be behind it, like he's behind everything else in the world, sticking in pins.
Let go of me. I've got to know.
Well, come on, then. I'll take you there, without the gun. We'll wrap this up before anybody else gets hurt.
Francis!
Georgie's on the floor. What's the matter with him?
Perfectly all right, young lady.
Francis, you're white as a sheet.
Oh, don't go pawing at me again. This stupid man running off.
I'm not stupid anymore, Buster. But here, get up. Come on now. You're all right. All right, one thing at a time. Jukes killed himself.
What?
Oh, the police will be there. There'll be all kinds of evidence, fingerprints on the glass. You figured that out, too, didn't you, Wick? Isn't that the story you were going to write? We're laughing about?
Valentine, I shall write my friends in Scotland Yard about you.
No, wait. Why on earth would Jukes kill himself?
Mrs. Wick, do you drink green creme de menthe?
What? Oh, well, yes, but...
Jukes took over Santa Claus' beard in order to get away with his sack full of loot, right? He'd already slugged your husband here. Well, how do you think he felt when you walked in the door?
George, I don't get it at all.
Mrs. Wick, it was only a matter of minutes before he knew you'd recognize he wasn't the right guy, despite the pillows and beard. So maybe the ex-pharmacist got a little desperate. You never drank your drink, by the way, did you? I remember you holding it.
You mean it was poisoned? You mean he was
Janet,
trying...
will you let the man talk? His syntax is execrable, but his logic...
It's all a guess, but it's a good one. The connoisseur here likes Drambuie. Like women, it should be strong to the senses, but easy to see through.
Oh, quote.
But Jukes would know about that. Playing Wick, he'd make his own liqueur, Drambuie. But he left the drinks for a few minutes, you said. And the drinks were in by the Christmas tree.
George, what in the name of the world are you talking
By
about?
the Christmas tree, Brooksy. And when he picked one up, he picked up the wrong drink. The creme de menthe meant for you, Mrs. Wick.
Oh.
We can check. We'll find out.
But how could he mistake a green creme de menthe?
I know, yeah. Drambuie is almost white. But there were only green lights in there on that Christmas tree. Don't you know what happens to anything green when it's matched by a green light? The color cancels out. It turns white.
Bravo, Mr. Valentine. A very well-rounded story. White Christmas in January.
Yeah. And much to my regret, there's probably nothing I can hang on to you, Mr. Wick. All right, come on, Mrs. Wick.
Oh, no, you don't, Janet.
He doesn't have to order you around, you know, not anymore.
What?
Janet.
Maybe he wouldn't have to pick on other people if you could control him, the people he despises so much.
Janet, come back here. Don't leave me.
You know, he'd already figured this crime out. So a few minutes ago, why did we find him so scared? Why?
Janet, will you do as I say?
The acid bath man who's had a lackey attend him night and day all his life. Always people.
Janet, don't listen to me.
Haven't you ever wondered about that, Mrs. Wick? And why his hatred of people? You've been his wife, but I'll bet you haven't even noticed. He never gave you a chance to.
Janet.
All you'd ever have to do to gain the upper hand is just walk away from him.
Janet, come back here. Don't leave me. Come back.
I must go back.
Look, he's a case. Can't be without people. Terrified of being alone.
Janet,
remember that. Okay, Mrs. Wick, go on back. You can have him.
Oh, George, I don't envy her the job.
Yeah. Well, he's rounded out his own story, hasn't he? Letting us see such a queer pair of clay feet. Well, he won't give Christmas parties anymore, I bet.
George, that color business. I mean, well, it proved to be true and everything, but you're so unobservant generally.
How did I get it? You really want to know? Well, Brooksy, in there by the Christmas tree earlier, I happened to notice something, that's all. Something about you.
Me?
Yeah. Then later on it clicked. The color of your eyes. What that light did to the blue in them.
Oh, George, really? Well, I never see you noticing.
Well, I did. I like to look at you.
Oh.
Do it quite often, as a matter of fact. Is that all right?
Oh, darling. You know something? I'm not even going to tell you that my eyes are really hazel.
Listen to the difference. In a few seconds, you'll hear Geiger counters measuring automobile engine wear. The engines are equipped with irradiated piston rings, which make it possible for the Geiger counter to detect wear as it occurs. You will hear authentic scientific proof that new RPM motor oil cuts in half the wear rate of critical engine parts, doubles the life of the average auto engine between major overhauls due to lubrication. First, let's listen to the Geiger counter slowly click off the low wear rate of new RPM. Now, the much faster wear rate of a premium type oil, as designated by the American Petroleum Institute. Now, new RPM again. You have just heard Geiger counters clicking off the scientific proof that new RPM motor oil is years ahead.
Yes, years ahead. New RPM doubles engine life between major overhauls due to lubrication. Try it. Sold with a money-back guarantee of satisfaction at independent Chevron gas stations and standard stations where they say and mean, we take better care of your car. Tonight's adventure of George Valentine is brought to you by Standard Oil Company of California on behalf of independent Chevron gas stations and standard stations throughout the West. Robert Bailey is starred as George with Virginia Gregg as Brooksy. Let George Do It is written by David Victor and Jackson Gillis and directed by Don Clark. Larry Dobkin was heard as Wick, Lee Patrick as Janet, Shirley Mitchell as Charity, John Daner as the salesman, and Ted DeCorsia as Keller. The music is composed and presented by Eddie Dunstetter, your announcer, John Heaston. Listen again next week, same time, same station, to Let George Do It. Let George Do It is heard overseas through the worldwide facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. This is the Mutual Don Lee Broadcasting System.
"73 years ago, January 29th, 1951, Let George Do It here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Tomorrow, Inner Sanctum, This Is Your FBI, Barry Craig Confidential Investigator, The Shadow, Dark Fantasy, and Lum and Abner. But right now, up in a moment, we will have an episode of Lum and Abner.
Ladies and gentlemen, the chief hope of our enemies is to divide the United States along racial and religious lines and thereby conquer us. Let's not spread prejudice. A divided America is a weak America. Through our behavior, we encourage the respect of our children and make them better neighbors to all races and religions. Remind them that being good neighbors has helped make our country great and kept her free. Thank you.
A quick thank you to our friend Ted at RadioMemories.com, who restored all these great Lum and Abner episodes that we're airing here. He has shows available on cassette, CD, or flash drive for your computer in the best quality you'll find. Also, now let's go to Lum and Abner from 82 years ago, January 29th, 1942.
The makers of Alka-Seltzer bring you Lum and Abner. My, but the weather's been miserable down in Pine Ridge the past few days. Warm and sunny one day and chilly and dreary the next. But I guess that's the kind of weather most of us can expect at this time of the year. And all the more reason that you be prepared to get relief for the misery of those colds that so often result when the weather's so changeable. And you will be prepared, friends, if yours is an Alka-Seltzer home. For those very same Alka-Seltzer tablets that you take for headaches and minor stomach upsets also offer prompt, pleasant relief in the dull, ache-all-over, feverish feeling of a cold. Now, here's what we suggest you do at the very first sign of a cold. Take care of yourself, of course. Get more rest than usual. Eat sensibly. Dress wisely. Get ample vitamins. And start taking Alka-Seltzer for its welcome, comforting relief for that cold misery. And say, be sure you use Alka-Seltzer, too, as a gargle for that sore throat due to the cold. What a difference Alka-Seltzer can make in the way you feel when a cold catches up with you. If you've never tried it, for your own sake, do so the next time a cold threatens, will you? If you haven't a package of Alka-Seltzer tablets in your home at the time, get one from your druggist without delay. And now, let's see what's going on down in Pine Ridge. Well, in his trial against himself, Justice of the Peace Lum Edwards adjourned court and asked for a change of venue. It seems that the evidence against him was getting a little too damaging, and Lum felt that he would have a better chance before a judge who knew less about the case. So Lum has written to Judge Parker at the county seat asking for a trial there. As we look in on the little community today, we find Lum and Mousie in the Jot 'em Down store. Abner is going out for lunch. Lum seems to be making some kind of a speech. Listen.
And look, gentlemen of the jury, look at these gnarled old hands, calloused by years of honest toil. Do they look like the hands of a feller that could even think of robbing his beloved partner? I ask you, gentlemen. Do you feel like crying yet, Mousie?
No, sir, I don't believe I do, Lum.
Well, I don't believe you're trying. Now, concentrate.
Yes, sir.
And look at these gray hairs, gentlemen. Look at these gray hairs which covers the honest old head, which has for many years been a familiar figure in the peaceful community of Pine Ridge. All is admired for his upright living and doing good for others. I ask you, gentlemen of the jury, should these revered gray hairs be hid behind iron bars just because of a misunderstanding? I can't go on, gentlemen.
For goodness sake.
Huh?
What in the world are you doing, Long?
Well, I never heard you coming in, Abner. Just practicing up my plea to the jury when I go into the county seat for my trial.
Oh.
I don't believe I can cry at all today, Lum. I've been trying, honest I have.
Well, never mind, Mousy. You ain't going to be on the jury no way, so it don't matter.
Well, I tried, Lum, but, well, me and Gussie are just so happy since we got married, and she's so proud that I have a job at your store, and, well, I just don't like crying.
Well, just forget about it.
You see, Gussie is just like a mother to me, and I'm so happy.
Never mind, Mousy. I don't care whether you cry or not. Just forget about it.
No, Mousy, you better go make a deal ever.
Yes, sir. Well, while I'm driving around, Lum, I'll try to think of something that'll make me sad, but, well, Gussie is just so wonderful. She's just like a mother to me.
You already said that. Hurry up and get out.
Yes, sir.
Grannies, are we going to have to keep him around the store all the time?
Well, I hired him while I was trying to run the store by myself, Lum, and he's sort of getting on to things. He tries awful hard to do everything you tell him just right.
It's his trouble. He tries too hard. I just asked him if my jury speech made him feel like crying, so now he thinks he's got to cry about something.
Yeah.
Grannies, he gets on my nerves.
Well, what are you practicing up jury speeches for? Are you going to defend yourself at the trial there at the county seat?
Of course I am. This case is getting too serious to trust anybody else to handle it.
Tis, huh?
Yeah, since Cedric messed everything up by bringing that paper I signed right into court the other day, everybody knows there's some awful damaging evidence against me.
Yeah, you're right, Lum. Cedric ought never to have done that.
Well, of course, I know he thought he was doing the right thing, but he's made it awful bad for me.
Oh, yeah.
Fact is, I don't know whether getting a change of Venice and taking my case to another court's going to help me after all.
Well, you knowed you was going to get convicted in your own Justice of the Peace court, Lum. At least you still got a chance of getting free in somebody else's court.
Yeah, but it's an awful slim chance, Abner. I've been reading in some of these law books we got in the library, and be honest, it just don't look good for me.
Well, now, I dog you better figure out a good case for yourself now before you go into the county seat. When's your trial going to be?
I don't know yet. I read Judge Parker all the details of the case a couple of days ago, so I ought to hear from him today or tomorrow.
Yeah.
But it don't make no difference when it is. The facts of the case still shows I'm guilty of breaking in a store that belonged to you at the time, so I got to take the consequence.
Yeah, well, get out them law books again, Lum. Let's see what we can figure out here. Doggies, I ain't going to stand back and see my partner get sent to the penitentiary for nothing. Go ahead, get out them books.
I got them right here.
Oh, that's it.
And there's a case in one of them sounds quite a bit like mine. Wait till I find it here.
Yeah, fine. We'll figure out something. Now, don't worry, Lum. Don't worry now. We'll figure it out.
Here, this is the one. It's under burglary. Breaking and entering. In the case of the state of Illinois versus Fenwick Hibbing, 1917, X42J21, the evidence...
Well, I do know, so that's what become of him.
Become a who?
Old man Higgins, his boy. And here his mama thought all the time he was up there on a wheat farm in North Dakota. Instead of that, he's burgling down there in Illinois.
Well, wait a minute, Abner. This ain't what you think.
Well, we mustn't tell his mama now, Lum. It just break her poor heart. She just thinks a world and all of that boy.
Abner, his name was Francis, and the one in the book here is Fenwick.
Oh, give a different name, huh? Well, good for him. he more likely done that just to spare his mama. I believe underneath it all, he's still a good boy. Facts is, the reason he went up to North Dakota to work there in the first place was to earn enough money to help his mama.
For goodness sakes.
Reckon he couldn't make the money fast enough on the farm, so he just went down to Illinois there and taken up robbing. Does it say what he robbed?
Yeah, it was a bank, but this is different.
Oh, my goodness, a bank. He oughtn't to have did it. I wish he'd have come to us first.
Listen, Abner, the book ain't talking about Francis. In the first place, this robbery taking place in 1917.
1917? Why, little Francis weren't over 2 or 3 year old then, Lum. That don't seem possible. A 3-year-old young'un doing such a thing as that.
Well, it ain't possible. Besides, this feller was also charged with manslaughter on account of there was a bank teller accidental killed.
Oh, my goodness. Are they accusing little Francis of that, too?
Of course not. He weren't anywhere near there. This was a different feller altogether.
Man, I'm glad to hear that. Hate to see a 3-year-old young'un sent up for doing such as that. Reckon who could have did it? Snake Hogan's mean enough, but I don't think he's ever been up to Illinois.
Abner, I just read you this to show you what was going to happen to me. I'm the one I'm worried about.
You? Well, you never... Wait a minute. I doggone that's right, ain't it? You was in Illinois once. And it were in 1917, too.
Huh?
I recollect it. You went up there to visit your uncle, Lum. I doggone we got to keep this quiet.
Keep it quiet?
Why, sure. If this ever comes up at your trial at the county seat, why, you'll lose a case sure the world.
Well, Abner, I never done that bank robbery, that manslaughter, if that's what you're talking about.
I know you never, Lum. I know you wouldn't do such a thing as that, but you was there. You know how folks get to talking, spreading rumors around. Was you in the bank any time that you was in Illinois?
Well, I reckon I was, but...
Yeah, see there? Somebody might have saw you go in there. You never can tell.
Yeah, might have, mightn't they?
Why, sure. Then they'll tell somebody, and then that somebody will tell somebody else, and, well, that's the way things get started.
Oh, my goodness.
Just a misunderstanding. Well, in fact, your whole trial is just a misunderstanding twixt me and you.
Granny, that's right, ain't it?
Why, sure it is.
And we're friends, too.
Why, sure.
You know, Abner, I'm liable to be a victim of circumstance evidence. That's just what I'm liable to be.
Oh, my goodness, this thing's getting serious, Lum.
What do you think we ought to do?
I don't know. Read some more in a book there. Maybe it tells how to get out of such a...
Yeah, let's see. Here we are. Evidence which was brought out in this trial definitely proved that the charge of manslaughter... Let me take a footnote here. It says... Compare this case with the following. Norwich versus Monette, Holdridge versus East Ridgeway, and Bowerbank versus Oh, my goodness.
What's the matter, Lum?
Oh, my... Listen. Bowerbank versus East Eddards.
I knowed it. I knowed somebody seen you go in there.
Granny, that can't be me, Abner. This must be some other Eddards.
Yeah, but who'll ever believe it? Give me that book, Lum. Here, we got to get rid of that thing before Judge Parker or somebody sees it. Hurry up. Give it to me.
Ain't no use, Abner. Judge Parker and every lawyer in the county's got the same book.
How do you know?
Why, you saw them judges' office just jammed full of these same kind of books.
Yeah.
I've saw them 1,000 or 100 times. And I know Judge Parker's been sitting there in his office reading up on this case. And he'll see that thing sure as a world.
Oh, my goodness.
He'll think I'm a hardened criminal, and I won't have a chance to win my case.
Why, no. What do we do, Lum?
Granny's here liable to open up that old manslaughter case and try me for that, too.
I wish you'd never made that trip up there to Illinois. Wait a minute. There comes Cedric up out there.
Don't mention nothing to him about that trouble I'm in up there in Illinois.
Oh, no.
He'll blab it all over town.
Yeah, I won't mention it. Wait a minute. Well, howdy, Cedric. Come on in.
Abner. Got a letter here for Mr. Lum.
For Lum?
Who's it from, Cedric?
I don't know. Says something about Judge Parker up there in the corner there.
Uh-oh.
Mr. Dick Huddleston said it must be something important.
Grannies, I don't want to see it.
Well, you better read it, Lum.
Setting a date for the trial's what it is.
Here, I'll read it.
Bet you're pretty glad to get out of jail, ain't you, Mr. Lum?
Don't talk about jail around me, Cedric.
Mr. Lum Eddards, Justice of the Peace, Pine Ridge, Arkansas. Dear Mr. Eddards, in answer to your letter regarding the charge against you for burglary, I do not feel that this case should be tried in my circuit court.
Oh, my goodness. Must have heard about that Illinois business. Grannies, I'll bet they're aiming on taking it right straight to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, well, wait a minute. Here's some more, Lum. Furthermore, in view of the circumstances, I find no basis for a trial and advise that the case be dropped. Yours truly, Judge Parker. Oh, my goodness, grab him there, Cedric. I think he's having another one of his sinking spells.
Well, we hardly expected that Lum would get out of his difficulty that easily now, did we? And while we're on the subject of the unexpected, have you ever noticed that headaches often come along to plague us when they're the least expected and the most unwelcome? Well, because headaches are so unpredictable, we suggest that you do as thousands of others do. Keep a package of Alka-Seltzer tablets handy in your home and wherever you work. Do this, and then you'll be prepared to help yourself to real relief for headaches, the kind of relief that should help you forget that headache in a hurry. Alka-Seltzer acts so fast because the highly effective analgesic, the pain reliever which it contains, is in a soluble form and ready to go to work when you take it. See for yourself how helpful, how fast-acting Alka-Seltzer can be the very next time your head aches. Then, when you've seen how fast it acts, you'll want to take Alka-Seltzer for quick relief in acid indigestion, for muscular aches and pains, and in cold distress, too. You can get Alka-Seltzer at all drugstores, by the package, and also by the glass at the soda fountain.
Well, there you go. Looks like Lum's out of the whole mess now, we hope. From 82 years ago, January 29th, 1942, Lum and Abner here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. On our Tuesday show, Inner Sanctum Mysteries, this is your FBI, Barry Craig Confidential Investigator, The Shadow, Dark Fantasy, and another episode of Lum and Abner. That'll be coming up on Tuesday. Have a great Monday, and we'll see you next time around here on the Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox podcast.